it's been quite a week. We've learned, of course, we got an update on a previous, not well, on a previous what should have been an international incident that has now become a full-fledged international incident. You know, war fighters on our soil. You know, taking each other out or whatever. We've got the Haitian seeking missile out of the interstate and Florida. So, little update there. It would turn out that the three victims of the illegal Haitian,
Three victims,
the illegal,
I mean the entire family.
yeah, everybody that was in the vehicle that was destroyed by the 18-wheeler that did the U-turn in Florida, who, of course, I think we reported on this last time, got his CDL illegally. And there's a little update on that. I believe Veritas got a little bit of video from some whistleblowers, and what they're doing is they're going in with cameras and earpieces because they don't know English well enough to pass the test. And yeah, well, anyway,
That's how they're passing.
yeah, they're doing some solid cheating, like coming in with an extra shirt, unbutton the top few buttons, and
Yeah, so what you're saying is they're doing what they did to get into the country via H-1B process.
yep.
Wait a second, it's the illegals getting it, so they must have learned that separately.
Well,
have to wonder
this
where they
is
learned
this
it,
is the
too.
thing that always. This is one of the things that's always funny about illegal immigration, right? If they're willing to break one law, how many others did they not? How many other laws are they willing to break along the way? And I remember Joe
Yeah.
Rogan sitting there and being like, "Hey, look at these poor guys at Home Depot. Like, they're just trying to earn an honest day's wage. Even if we take that assumption at face value, what's the likelihood they're paying taxes, right?
Mhm.
And if they're tax cheats,
Not really,
well,
not
I mean,
taxes, but what if they're paying taxes? How are they paying taxes? It's by using
Yeah.
someone
Right.
else's social security number.
well, and that's the thing is, it's like in order to be here, like the people who chose to come here illegally, every single time I'm assuming we are going to talk about, or at least I'm hoping we get to talk about Take Me North.
I mean, that's probably
Is
something
that on
worthwhile
the
to
docket?
just segue into after we kind of finish this specific topic,
So-
because it's so tied in.
So in any case, the thing that's kind of funny about it is, in order to come here illegally, you have to be willing to break the laws. And I guess I'll segue a little bit. They highlighted this. The best part about this was they just did a pro illegal immigration game, and they tried to present it. And what's funny is they ended up going through the sheer amount of effort that all of these people put into breaking the law and not getting caught. And if you're willing to put in that much effort into breaking the law, not only do you know what the law is, shit, I just fell
And just as a
in front of my
quick
fire
note,
pit.
oh, watch out! A quick note on that: of their $30,000 goal, they were able to hit $58,000. So,
Oh,
Frankly,
very good for
I
them.
think that. Frankly, I think they should get the money. And I want to see this game be made.
I do too. I do too. I like. I do not want them to stop making this game.
I genuinely want them to complete it. I want to see what their
me
take
too.
is on
In
doing
addition,
everything illegally.
I just hope
But-
that it has full mod support, because I
The-
can see a
Yes,
lot
yes.
of really great additions to this.
But I just, the point of it was they spent so much time talking about all of the different things that illegal immigrants do to break the law. Like it's not a case of they're coming here. The irony is what the left has always hinged on is the concept of asylum seekers, right? That these people are trying to escape their home country, they have nowhere else to go, and they're just seeking refuge. And what you find out
Oh
is
God, the persecution.
I just want BW3s.
What you find out-
man, BW3s is good. I like
Yeah,
BW3s.
what
I wish I were joking.
the funny part about the fucking game was that because they detail all of the law breaking they do, that entire argument goes right out the window. Right? They're not coming here to be asylum seekers. They're trying not to get caught as far as they can and they're only claiming to be asylum seekers after the fact. Right? The goal was not to sit there and throw themselves upon the mercy of the Border Patrol and the United States government and ask for our fealty, I guess our fealty. It's to literally evade and break our laws. And this is no different, right? Like, why wouldn't you expect that behavior to continue? Why would you expect them to be paying taxes like the average American citizen? Why would you be expecting them to try to pass a driver's test which has laws, rules, and regulations rather than just doing whatever the fuck they want to do? Like, if you're willing to cheat on one thing, how many other things are you willing to cheat on?
It's a valid question. We just
It's
don't
amazing
know.
how often that argument goes in one ear and out the other with the retard.
Yeah.
At least until the new programming is received.
Well,
and on that
what's
note,
interesting?
that's something we should mention, because there was something that was meant to happen with this game. It was there was a big feature that was kind of happening, kind of gonna happen, and once they started dipping their toes into social media waters to sell their product, people were without the aid of NGOs and USAID, there was a little bit less enthusiasm. Or I shouldn't say that, actually. There was a lot of enthusiasm, just not the kind they were expecting for their product. And,
well, we talked about this. We talked about this last week, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of folks on the left who have been thinking that life imitates art, and that's clearly not the case. And so they keep on making this shit, and it's like, hey, maybe if we sit there and we push the art out, then everybody will agree with us. And you know what? They can keep on learning the hard way. I'm okay with that.
Well,
I mean, one day
on
a
related note, actually, the White House Twitter account tweeted out something that we're all very familiar with, a chart, actually. A chart that pretty well explains the two, well, there's more than two, but the two major social dogmas that kind of exist, and their in-group preferences. Yes. That
they did that one.
Boy.
Yeah, they posted the heat map of what matters to people, whether it be in-group, like human beings, mammals, whatever.
And when to dismiss the opinions.
Or whether it be, other things, non-humans, rocks, for instance, demons, I don't know. All these things, there's this one group that they might look at a game like Doom and say, well, but what about the demons' feelings?
That was in Doom. Nope. I was going to say.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts with Doom 2016 was bringing up demons and how their feelings should be countered too. Yep. Yeah. Don't call them demons. Call them, what was it? They're mortally challenged.
Mortally challenged. Yes.
There you go. Oh, speaking of, just a real quick update. Was an old joke. Just out of the how should I address this? Okay, out of one of Hamas Piker's favorite groups, an update from the Houthis. They have said,
"Oh, the Houthis."
Yeah. What big Hassan groupies. Big Hassan.
Oh no, they got quite the update. They got a massive update.
Well, they did, which is, of course, they've had
they got reprogrammed.
Maybe not, but they did definitely have a shift in management. Explosively shifted, as a matter of fact. But
yeah, they had a bad dinner date change in management.
Yeah. So anyway, Israel did what Israel does, and they don't have a prime minister at this moment. So they have sworn to quote, "Now we will." You know what? No.
Yeah, see,
I am so tempted, but I'm not actually going to, because I am inviting so much disaster if I quote them directly. So they have vowed to return the favor to Israel.
So So I'm glad you mentioned that it was the Houthis specifically that didn't have a prime minister, because you know who didn't get that right? Specifically and interestingly? Chunky Yogurt, Hassan Piker's uncle.
Oh, the youngest
and
Turk?
the reason why Hassan Piker. Yes, exactly. The reason why Hassan Piker is an American citizen, besides his insanely rich father, who runs a political party in Turkey, but no one mentions that. So Chunky Yogurt, or Rocky Road, as you can call him sometimes, the Brown Buffalo, said that it was Yemen's prime minister that was taken out.
Oh,
when in fact it was just the Houthis. It is quite interesting because a lot of Yemeni people were quite taken aback that somehow suddenly the civilian prime minister was taken out when he was still quite alive.
Yeah,
and and happy that the Houthis were getting their asses kicked. So weird.
Well, you know what the answer to this is when you decide to host your dinner reservations with most of your terrorist friends, don't do it on top of your weapons stockpile. That's the general lesson learned.
That is a learning experience, to be sure.
Or at the very least, don't announce it to everyone.
Well, it's the same kind of thing as having Redditors come and join your volunteer force, and them saying, "Hey, check me out, guys! I'm here at the training center for the volunteer force," and then getting shortly calibrated thereafter. Lesson learned.
Speaking of calibrated, we'll talk about the color calibration going on W Place once again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's been a few actually.
There's a very interesting one that popped up today. It involves, in fact, it might even involve a church shooting.
Oh, the one I posted earlier?
You may have. Bats keyed me in on this one, and I went to check it out myself. And it had already been corrected by the time I got there, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I saw there was some trains erasure that still needed to happen right next to it, so that was funny to watch in real time.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, for those curious, we actually spoke on this
decided that they still need to be involved.
Well, not this, but we did, but
we're talking specifically about the shooting of children in Minnesota.
Indeed, we are, and we're also talking about W Place, which we had mentioned and spoke on to some length last week, and I'll throw a link up to just post on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's got.
It was interesting that these cotton candy retards decided to say to screw up the little memorial thing and say prayers and bring your dead kids back, and then leave their cotton candy feces. So of all people, Josh. I'm assuming he leveraged his massive website as a resource for this one. Decided to post not only that picture, but also the face of the person who did it, as well as the fact that they're open to work on LinkedIn, right on the image, and send that out. So, let it be known that if you do dumb shit like that, people will come to find you.
Yeah, the internet hate machine has a lot of hate in it.
Exactly. Hey, this person was found on LinkedIn fairly quickly. So, yeah, the early adopter advantage that we mentioned last week is slowly going away, which is or not last week, last time we had our podcast. It's slowly going away, and that'll be interesting moving forward.
Absolutely. And speaking of
the memorial is all put back together, which is nice.
Yeah, it is. It is good to see that sort of thing, especially with how infiltrated certain internet communities can seem to be. But moving.
Wait, they're closing Alligator Alcatraz?
No, they're trying to, and
they're trying.
No, fuck you. I don't care. Shut up. Which is exactly the response you need to give these people.
Wait, what's going on here? I'm just learning about this.
some district court judge or something is like, you got to shut down Alligator Alcatraz, and DeSantis said no. Stop me.
That's
what is the basis for shutting down the camp? Right, it's no different than any other prison, right? Like, so what was the argument for shutting it down?
I'm sure it was something to do with safety or well-being of prisoners, that kind of shit. Which, frankly, beyond that not being surprising, is also going to be the easiest thing to immediately dismiss and say, no, we are taking care of them properly.
All right. Federal judge stands by order to shut down.
I didn't realize that. I did not know that they gave an order to shut it down.
As population dwindles, federal judge affirmed her decision to keep Alligator Alcatraz on the road to closure. DeSantis administration is continuing its appeal.
On the basis of?
Let's see here. Scaling down is continuing after they stood by the decision, which ordered to close within 60 days. Okay. What's the deal here? Judge is affirming her decision to close down Alcatraz. Comes just 2 months after the highest profile opening possible. DHS is having rapid removals. Okay, but why? A week after the federal judge found that not... Oh, my fucking Christ. That comes just a week after a federal judge found that not doing an environmental assessment of the property first was illegal.
That's it.
She blocked new migrants from being brought in, ordered all construction to stop, and for Alligator Alcatraz to be dismantled within 60 days. Oh, my fucking holy Christ, Jesus. Seriously.
It's the goddamn EPA argument. I knew it.
Fucking
damn it.
people. I hate them so much. Well, yeah, there's your update. That's fucking retarded.
Well, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, well, there's already another one that's getting worked on.
Yep, there is. We're supposed to have a second one, and I guess we're gonna have a second first one.
I was trying to look up deportation numbers the other day to find out what, because obviously they've made a whole bunch of fuss about this, and I haven't seen anything that really looks like they really got those numbers up.
I mean, they got them
like
up,
it's looking like
there's only so
not much
up
though, not
that
like
they can do without getting into kind of ugly stuff, and they've been a little bit reticent to do that.
Well, I know, but you know what I mean. Like they're for all of the fanfare.
Well, like early on,
from
yes. Like in the first days when they could get a lot, and before everybody had kind of hunkered down, those. Well, there's a reason you're not really seeing the numbers, because they're not what any of us want them to be, other than the people that want none of them to leave. They're very happy with how good good the numbers are.
Yeah, that's from what I've seen, it doesn't look like they're going to succeed in deporting any more than, the numbers that Obama did. Now, granted, I know that the Obama numbers are fake, right? Like they included turnaways at the border. So it's not real deportations as much as it is, haha, we caught you, go away now, right? Which right now with no border crossings, you could argue we have millions and millions by that standard. If we turn around and accounted for all of the ones that Biden let in and just said, yep, all of those, we've turned those around. But in terms of real deportation numbers, it's looking like they're going to be about 300,000 a year, which is... that's if it's real deportations from the interior of the country, that comes out to about 1 million by the time Trump's done. That's not bad, but it doesn't that's a drop in the bucket. The damage. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, yes, it's good that it's being done, but I mean, goodness gracious, it's so far past that. Like,
right,
we know there have to be at least 50 million, and there's very probably more. So, what's one? A 50th?
Right.
And based on some of the reporting...
Speaking of 1 in 50, I have something to talk about regarding cybersecurity.
Go on.
When you're ready to move on.
I don't have any particular segue. I was going to go into the tennis match thing that happened, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay. Google engineers have found a 0-day using an LLM that has been trained on.
I saw you link this video on this. Yeah, break that down for us, if you will, and I'll put a link to that for everybody that's interested.
So the Google cybersecurity team, they ran an LLM and they used that to check the Chrome browser. And the interesting thing that came out of it, besides the fact that an LLM was finally used to discover a 0-day in their own software, which is a bit alarming that it was able to find that before humans could. But the more interesting factoid that came out of this is that they were running this as kind of an experiment to see if they could get an agentic scanning set up to begin with. And the signal to noise ratio that came out of it was about 1 to 50, which is terrible. And so they basically had to spend the portion of the team that was working on that had to spend the vast majority of their time, so 95% of their time, looking at noise instead of signal. And so they had to parse each of these outputs, these reports that would generate on their software, and see if the 0-day actually existed, and if so, how did it work? And which is at signal noise ratio of 1 to 50 is an incredible waste of time and resources. But the hope is that they get to a point where an agent like this is capable of producing good signal to noise ratio, and that they'll just have a few false positives. Because that's the thing you need to realize also, is that these this is 100 positive results that it's trying to present, and you get to see 2 real ones. 98 of them would be false. So there's no negative on this, or there's no false negative. It's all positive presentations of a 0-day, or at least some sort of CV. So it's
like
interesting.
A pretty good tool to have in your tool belt as far as
it'd be a good tool if it worked.
Yeah.
Obviously
it'll frustrate the shit out of government agencies, which I love.
Right. So it's good that they've been able to present it. They got it good enough to present to the public. Now the downside, this is actually there is a negative side to this. Once you produce a tool like this, it's an arms race and rush. This means that every piece of software can be checked. Now, and then the way that the issue that they found was a pretty common and trivial one. So it's annoying that it was not discovered by humans. Although it did involve graphics engines, so there was a little bit of an issue there. But the arms race issue is this is meant to be a public tool. Once you hand this out, you don't even have to go to the Skynet kind of situation where you're like, okay, what happens if we have full automation of this, which is indeed a bit of a spooky thought of its own. But you don't have the ability of bad actors to scan software before other people can, using a tool that does not have any expertise requirements on it. The whole idea of a script kiddie and intrusions, illegal intrusions being a thing already. This is another step on that, where now you can have software exploits that are essentially discovered with expertise that people just simply lack, and you have the ability to exploit that pretty easily. So you can go the step further then after that and say, okay, well, if an LLM has access to this kind of expertise, and then you then after couple that with another, and you ask it, hey, get me the database from this company that I shouldn't have access to, and get me all the usernames and passwords from their database, or at least get me their password database so I can get their salted passwords and do a reverse rainbow table lookup, that kind of shit. And Like that is the level of automation we're going to get to. Is someone can rather passively ask innocuous thing, and an agentic LLM with that kind of expertise engine could wreak havoc. And then you can go full automation on that and say, okay, what if you get something as convoluted as XAI, which was recently stolen by a Chinese national,
yep.
and hand it off to OpenAI, I believe it was, or Meta. It doesn't matter which one, either one.
OpenAI.
Okay, so OpenAI.
Just a real quick one on that. So we don't know, but we do know one thing: the individual was either H-1B or O-1. That's the only.
Yeah, they're here. It was an immigrant.
So
we do know it was not an American.
So how's that
Chinese national?
How's that H-1B support working out for you, Elon? Working out well? Is it?
Look, sorry.
Well, again, right? Like
doing good.
Yes, that is the inherent risk associated with any of these
100%,
things. But you got to keep in mind, it's like it sucks. It sucks. It 100% sucks. But the reality of the situation is they're doing this with hundreds of employees. So each of hundreds or thousands of employees over the years. If you turn around and say, hey, employee work years, how often are they doing it? Well, if I got 100 H-1Bs and I'm saving $20,000 per person per year, and I've been doing it for 20 years, that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, I think that after he sank $1 billion or $2 billion into making the AI, there's a bit of a black swan level of the when you look at the risk assessment of this. This is not exactly a common one.
Well, one.
But at the same time, like,
no.
it's the same time. It's like, okay, so it's infrequent, but let's look at the cost benefit analysis on this whole program. It kind of blows it out of the water. That was like the entire AI. Like he just got done building out a bigger data center specifically for XAI. Like this was a big blow out of nowhere.
Timing's a real motherfucker on this one for him.
Yeah, it's like he's looking at the next stage for the next data center, and they just got this one online and they're training it. Like they're going for Grok 5, and XAI's basically their entire code base gets uploaded into OpenAI. And this is not a small amount of data. Like this is even if we're talking even just the source on Grok, like even just one version of that, like it's terabytes of data. So this guy, I mean, I don't know, maybe he did something slick, like he decided I'm going to go ahead and connect the two data centers via some fat pipeline and just do a mass upload and see if XAI notices. Just like, well, obviously that's going to happen. Because there's not like a simple way for him to just kind of download it to one hard drive and walk out, or even just like bring in a NAS and fill that thing up. Just some big data bucket. Like this is not Seth Rich taking the DNC data kind of stuff. This is much more difficult to pull off. So the fact that this guy thought he was smart enough to do it, and the fact that he's a fucking CCP bug man, like this guy's an asset of probably both the U.S. and the CCP intelligence agencies. Like he's clearly a CCP plant, and then he's probably an asset for us for counterintelligence, just to see what he does and get a better mapping of what the CCP is trying to do in the U.S. So in the middle of all that,
did that data go? Did that data go anywhere?
Yeah,
else?
exactly. Because I bet you that we are no longer the only country that has that data.
That's a very real possibility.
Yep.
And that's actually something that'll be very fascinating in the lawsuit that XAI has decided to bring against him. Hopefully we caught him before backups were made and delivered. And if that's the case, then bullet dodged, But that means that OpenAI having it now means there's 2 different copies of 2 different states of it across time that are potentially going to
And
be
whatever
available.
court orders might come down for OpenAI to get rid of that, all I'm going to say to that is come the fuck on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We
Good
deleted
luck.
every copy. Sure, we did. Uh-huh.
Yeah, after it got analyzed.
Now, exactly. So I'll say this
every
also
line
on that
run
whole
through
thing is
ChatGPT. Huh.
right. So I've been pulling around with LLMs for a while
Just a
now.
real quick on that too. By the way, he
Yeah.
after he took the offer there, he also sold $7 million worth of his XAI stock.
Yeah, he did.
Like
He
just
I think
everything.
that might have been a clue also.
Yeah.
Liquidated.
It was a choice.
So I've been fooling around with LLMs. You know, AI in general has been a hobby of mine for decades. But I've been fooling around with LLMs, and I've been using so there's Olama, and then there's what the hell is it? Like Happy Face or whatever, Hugging Face. There's Hugging Face, which as the name goes, brings up certain mythic parables of recent decades in cinema. But these are places where you can get models and run them. And I've been using Olama as the back end and anything LLM as my front end. It's good just to do that. And I've been using them local, so anything LLM can link into other cloud services. It's better to run these things locally. But I've been using it basically so I can fuck around with Dolphin Llama 3. So the Llama models are from Meta, and that's basically their open sourced versions of. So you can think of like an open source Grok, but not as sophisticated. Oddly enough, as goofy as Grok is, the Llama models are not as sophisticated. But they are public. They are open source. They are publicly available, and they are trainable and fine tunable. So the Dolphin models are basically de-lobotomized llama models. So, or de-lobotomized models in general. So there's like a kind of that pre-filter thing that we all are aware of. That's built in by training models against that and basically penalizing them for giving non-canned answers to questions that they don't want asked. So things like the best one of the good ways to test it is like, what's the best way to steal a car? And one model, the standard model will tell you you shouldn't do that because it's illegal. And the de-lobotomized model will say, step 1, make sure nobody's looking. Step 2, use a Slim Jim. Step 3, make sure you turn off the alarm and leave. So it's clear that these will be fun to fool around with further. I don't have a GPU that is recognized by any of the fun software out there to use, so I'm kind of screwed on that. I'll have to look at that for maybe a dedicated project later, doing some older NVIDIAs. But so it'll run just on CPU for me. But smaller models like the 8 billion parameter models, those will work fine on a CPU if you have a beefy enough CPU, which thankfully I do.
Cool.
So there's plenty of models to fool around with and plenty of models to choose. So it'll be interesting to see when XAI's Grok shows up as another model coming out of OpenAI. And what will also be interesting to see is if someone's able to de-lobotomize that, because I think a de-lobotomized Grok would be very interesting.
Well, we already know that it is.
Yeah, that's right. We do.
We do. It's funny. It is very, very funny how the more data that an AI has, and the less restrained you allow it to be, the spicier it gets. But anyway.
Well, it's interesting. That's partly a selection bias on the trainer side of things. We saw that specifically with Tay, because Tay was trained based off of the DMs you sent it and interactions it had. And so it's like WPlace with the early adopter bias, right? If you feed it
exclusively one set of people and their biases, you get pretty quickly an agent that will accurately reflect their culture.
Well, I can get where you're coming from with Tay, but the problem with Grok is there wasn't really any of that. It was more of a
There was
it
that
was
was it's the training data you feed it. It is.
well, then it shouldn't have been like that if that was based
Well, there
purely
are
on.
pockets of data on the internet, and so if you ask a question, this is something that comes up in polling all the time. When you ask a question, if you want a certain outcome, there's certain ways you ask it, right? So instead of, here's a good one. You can ask someone, what kind of human are you? Or what kind of person are you? And then you can also ask a person, are you a human? And these will give you radically different answers because these intrinsically are radically different questions, even though they are similar. So, and they're rather open-ended, you'll notice, despite how specific they seem to be phrased. So these are the kind of distinctions that you can run into. If you train an AI on Chan culture and on Reddit, you're going to have very different ways of speaking that are built in. And if you start asking questions that are not specific to either one of those two communities, but can be detected as being somewhat of a mixture of them, you're going to have some fun outcomes. Although these days, I'd say this: these days, both of them have an interesting hatred of Jews, so that part's not going to be so surprising. But if it comes to the question of whether or not trans people should be allowed to shoot up schools, I think you're going to have some very different responses.
Well, depends on how new the training data is.
Exactly.
But again,
Grok
that
and so on are
also goes against Grok being the way it was for the time that it was like that. Because there's no real reason why it should do that based on all of its training data, when the only change was be maximally honest and don't worry about offending people. So
here's another thing that you should realize is when it's presented, especially with an agentic. So there's like a system prompt that pre-prompts your prompt, and that can be left blank, to be fair. But in the case of like Grok or Super Grok, or Grok Fun versus Grok Standard, like these are options that specify different system prompts, and so those prompts can be built up by refining them over time. You can kind of like say, okay, well, here's another one. Is there's a meta to it where you build an LLM that provides you the system prompt for an LLM such that it is capable of being avoiding certain topics. So kind of like that whole pre-filter idea. Like there are ways to build that into the system prompt instead of having to fine tune the model and lobotomize it kind of permanently. And you can swing back and forth between these methods. So sometimes an unrestricted model is simply the next iteration and trying to build that system prompt. You provide all these use cases and everybody has a fun day, and suddenly the thing is completely lobotomized immediately right after that. And that's because they build in that new training data. So as fun as those are, once one person notices, a whole bunch of people start to pile in and provide new variations on the same prompts that we're giving these undesired outputs. So I mean, it's a brilliant strategy because it leverages a crowdsourcing method, which is way cheaper than having to think up all the different prompts yourself. I mean, and I asked these questions earlier in complete standard English. Imagine all of the fun ways that people have found to ask dumb shit in less than complete English, less than standard English.
It's funny you mentioned that. I've actually seen that there are some languages that some LLMs haven't yet been trained to.
Correct. Yes.
Haven't yet been trained to deal with in the same way they are trained to deal with English questions. So you can
Very
get
much
you can get some very interesting answers from plain old LLMs.
Yeah, ask it in Arabic about Jews.
Yeah, that kind of thing. That kind of thing.
That's you get the spicy answers right away. Ask it about how much the West should be allowed to exist.
Well, I think one of the interesting things you have is that between racism and not racism, there's a horseshoe, right and left. You have on the right side of things, you have so let's say that the top of the horseshoe, the least racist people are those who choose to be colorblind. Then on the right side of the horseshoe, you have the biological determinists, followed by the race realists, followed by the like professed racists. On the left side of the horseshoe, you have
you have as well.
No. I don't think race realists are there. I would argue that it's. I would argue.
Hard not to say that, but they are.
No, I think it goes instead of. I'm not saying that there aren't there. I think it's more along the lines of. Yes, but you're talking about further down, right? So it's the equivalent to the genetic predispositionists or whatever, biological determinists, which I call that. That would be the affirmative actionists. The people who say if we just do a little bit of something, then maybe we'll help these people. That would be followed by the DEI folks, who would be the we just need to try to strive for equity. And then that would be followed by the anti-racists. And the problem that you have, the anti-racists. The anti-racists are no different than than racists. They're just racist for other races.
Actually, I'd say they're kind of a little bit worse because they can't be honest about it.
This is true. It's like Republicans in Texas.
But on the scale of racism to not racism, I would say they're about equivalent.
Oh yeah, on levels of racism. Sometimes higher,
I think
actually.
The problem that you run into when you start talking about these LLMs with alternative language models is and they're the views that are expressed based on their training data. Colorblindness was a noble goal, but it's unachievable in the long run.
That's a very much
Are you
English
trying to tell me that people are intrinsically different?
Yeah, see,
they're just intrinsically different. They're just intrinsically different. They're intentionally different.
I'm a biological determinist. I don't think that it's inherently like I understand the distinction that people make between race and other stuff, but I think it's irrelevant in the greater context.
There's an odd thing that goes on there that I think people miss when they start talking past each other.
Yeah, well, the issue, like the difference is the more racist you are, that's racism is the case of applying group differences to individuals, and that is fundamentally problematic because even if you talk about a probability curve, individuals, there will be exceptional individuals of all races. It's just how many of them are there in each subsequent category. That's really what the difference is.
It's 100% brainlet behavior is what it is. It's just it's complete fundamental misunderstanding of statistics and the application thereof.
Now, when you call it
the spicy answers,
no, you probably should still, just to be safe.
Yeah, I think when you start calling it spicy answers, like I appreciate the viewpoint, but one of the things that I think it misses is that race realism, at a minimum, or racism, is inherent to most writings up until all of 20 years ago. As much as we turn around and be like, hey, gender was pretty much a settled issue until, Money and his crowd decided in the 90s that it wasn't. Race was the racial differences has been a historical thing going back thousands of years.
Yeah, I mean,
when we talk about
it's probably mid 90s is going to be about the time where you saw that was kind of peak race relations, if you will. Yeah, and I'd say that it kind of plateaued and stayed that way until around the late 2000s, and that was there was a bit of a dip there because of the whole Middle East trying to blow up the United States thing, and then us successfully blowing them up for a while.
Well, blowing up
That
people in the Middle East, but yeah.
that's
Like,
probably reasonable, but if you take a greater historical view, race is really nothing more than regional geolocation of inheritable genetic traits, and like realistically, racial differences have been acknowledged going as far back as the Egyptians. They explicitly wrote about it, identifying sub-Saharans as very different from them, utilizing different pigments, as well as identifying them as not being Egyptian or whatever have you.
The Nubians were very clearly not the same as Egyptians, is how they felt about it.
Yep.
It wasn't in the context of a geographic necessarily as a people, a society.
Yes, and this is I think the thing is when you start talking about spicy answers, the real question is when we take the perspective of spicy answers, I think that's coming from the best aspects of colorblindness, which I think morally is the superior approach. I think it's technically wrong, but it's the morally superior approach to race relations. And the spicy answers is more or less what everybody else has unfiltered said for the last few thousand years.
Yeah, the
right?
entirety of knowledge or so.
Well, I mean, it's so that this is the whole notion of progress versus progressivism. There's progress for the sake of just fucking doing things differently.
Destroy the
and
four
there's
olds.
progress, and so there's progress for the sake of like more people having a decent life. Because we can, not because necessarily we have to. And so, like, like that's for instance, Britain leading the charge on getting rid of slavery. We invented machines. We no longer needed to have that kind of low cost labor because we had cheaper labor. So we said, okay, how do we bring these people? How do we press this advantage and give more people the better life, and make more people productive in society at a level where we're not spreading so much misery. And it was just largely on the whim of what's his name, was it a duke? I thought it was, or it wasn't the king. It was, or maybe it was someone in the House of Lords. Anyway,
I can't remember specifically, but I do know what you're talking about. It's the 1836 Act that ended slavery throughout all British colonies. And also set them on the task of ending slavery anywhere that they dealt with or encountered in the open.
Right, and then the U.S. basically followed suit after we had our Industrial Revolution kind of kick us off. So, I mean, these were kind of opportunistic changes that followed a moral basis, but were moral bases that were nice dreams until they were finally opportune.
Correct.
We'll see that moving forward as we have more stuff going on with like LLMs and whatnot. We're going to see mechanization, automation of industries that didn't have it before.
So, well, I think
this is happening real time.
This is one of the fundamental debates that I think you see is a lot of folks on the left think that these social movements did something, when in reality, the social movements if you have a greater understanding of history and science and technology and engineering, the social movements did nothing. They just happened to occur. The reason the social movements evolved or came about is because technology had changed sufficiently and was distributed enough to make them rational questions. They didn't accomplish anything. The accomplishment that they supposedly achieved was an inevitability based on the invention of the technology that had come 20 to 40 years prior.
Well, here's a good question that you can pose to people that gets the point across, and that is, who got women the right to vote, the suffragists or the suffragettes? Because it was only one of those two groups. One of the groups was loud and annoying and didn't do shit. The other group actually voted for it.
Yep. But I mean,
that's just one
not
clean example.
It's not just them, right? Like that's to say, hey, that's just one example. I think is not necessarily like when you talk about slavery, the Civil War kicked off in 1860, right? The Industrial Revolution is said to have, or there's a series of different advancements, and it becomes very difficult to pinpoint it. But when we started building automated factories, was about 1820, about 40 years prior. So by the time we get to the Civil War, where we decide to have a war over slavery, and there's a lot of other complexity in the Civil War. Like part of the reason that the Civil War the arguing that it's a civil war over slavery is, I think, fallacious. Because realistically, it had to do with trade, and
in which case the North won and was allowed to continue to hold slaves, and did so for quite a long time.
Right, exactly. Like that's the thing is if you sit there and you take an actual historical perspective, it's not a slavery was the thing. That's like the bit that gets sold. The reality is that the Revolutionary or the Civil War was fought over economic trade deals and all the other stuff, which came about because of technology that essentially made slaves irrelevant. And so
Here's a good question for you: is why were we fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq? Well, what will be sold to you is 9/11 and
those
WMDs.
Poppies aren't going to guard themselves, Craig.
Right.
Well, like I said, it's the WMDs, right? The ones that we totally found. I mean, that's what was sold to us. That's the reason we sent troops over, in theory.
By WMDs, you mean
that's the reason why people signed up.
Well,
that's why a bunch of my friends signed up into the military and then got killed.
Well, by WMDs, you mean Western meaning drugs, right?
Something like that. I believe the other one was defending Afghanis who were fucking kids. Literally.
Didn't the Taliban, like right before whatever it was that we went in there because Osama bin Laden was living there or something? But didn't the Taliban just before that, didn't they say, hey, we're not doing the opium poppies thing anymore. If you do it, we're gonna like burn your farm down and kill you. And
There's
then
something like that.
And then the Sacklers were like, "Hey, we need to sell opiates to every American." And
so here's the funny thing: is that's one of those afterthought things. That would not be the reason we went in. Unfortunately, the Sacklers, for the Sacklers' sake,
I know.
Unfortunate for them.
That's just
like they are simply not that influential.
Yeah, they aren't that powerful, but they are that evil.
They are that evil, yes. As far as us defending the poppy fields over there, that's a national security strategic asset. That is a difference. It didn't matter if it was the Sacklers that owned it. It could have been any owner. And the fact is that they just kind of tangentially, as in peripherally, benefited as a part of their core business model.
Well, and I mean, it's not like Bayer has ever done anything wrong in chemistry or medicine. Cough.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Who was it? Who was it that had all the issues with the heart failing from opiates?
Who could say?
One of the Sacklers.
Who can say? It's a mystery. A mystery for the ages.
So what was the name? It started with a P, right? At the tip of the tongue to everyone. Anyway. Yeah, so the Industrial Revolution, it was about 4 years before, and I would say that the gap between a technological advancement and a cultural shift has probably been slowly dwindling due to the fact that they've been happening more rapidly with smaller incremental changes that have been.
I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that.
You say 40 years for that, and I would say that. Well, here's the reason I say this is because there's 40 years for that. The gap between men finally getting to vote and women finally getting to vote is around 20 years. So that included the whole World War I kind of issue. Hey, if we promise them land, they'll go fight. Hey, if we promise them a vote, they'll go start and get started on the way into the workforce.
I suspect that it still sticks around at somewhere around 2 generations. Right. I think that that's probably about where it is because you're talking about the first generation is dealing with the technology, and or grows technically the first generation grows up with the technology, and the second generation, it's so ubiquitous that it's just inherent to their lifestyle. Like there's not a beforehand, there's not a growth phase, and like a good example of this is like a good example of this is so millennials, right? We're approaching 40. And that's about 2 generations.
PDF files. I was going to suggest PDF files, like literally the files themselves, not the euphemism, as being a good example because Zoomers don't know how to fucking open them, whereas they were basically everywhere for our generation.
Right.
They came to be and they were everywhere.
I believe technical competency is held largely with millennials, the peak technical competency in general of average distribution.
I'm pretty sure.
Because what ends up happening is most millennials grew up with shitty ass computers. We had shitty computers, we had shitty file storage. A lot of us had to sit there and learn on DOS, and then we got Windows. And as time has gone on, the GUI for these things has become more and more polished over time, which has resulted in kind of an, you
have to start fighting with it just to get power user modes at this point.
Right, yeah, that's it. It takes more effort for me to. Yep. And so like I think a lot of that stuff has significantly changed. But if you turn around and you say, hey, let's talk about older millennials, Gen X, right? Older millennials, Gen X, which I think, Craig, you still fit in. Certainly Evan does, and I do.
No, you're talking about pre-90s millennials, and that's all of us.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. For pre-90s millennials, where there wasn't really the birth of the internet or all the other stuff, we have significant pushback against things like the trans bullshit and all of these other things that came about.
Oh, yeah.
And we're dealing with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which have embraced these kind of identity politics to a crazy core. And the reason that these identity politics have even gained any traction whatsoever is because now when you sit there and engage in whatever ridiculous nonsense you engage in, you're engaging in it with the entirety of the internet. There's a whole community of people out there that wouldn't have existed when we were growing up. And even then, like I know that that from the discussions that we've all had, Craig had more access to the internet growing up than I did. I don't think I don't think we really went through the dial-up phase. We got broadband, but I think we got broadband sometime in the early 2000s. I had it before I left high school, but not much before I left high school. And so it was maybe 2001, 2002, somewhere in that time frame. We got access to broadband, and that was kind of crazy and speed and all this other stuff. So like anybody before that didn't really have access to this like internet culture community building stuff. And so I think the reason that you get groups like furries, right, or pedophiles or trans people or any of these other weird identity groups that we've all kind of sat there and been like, hey, whatever. I think the reason that they're gaining the prominence that they're gaining is because the technology is now 40 years old, right? Like computers and internet technology is about 40 years old at this point.
Okay, I was going to go a different route on that and say pedophile and brony technology is now 40 years old.
Well, the point is though, like you can go however you want to go with it, right? But the point is that the PC, the personal computer, has not been around for about 40 years. What was DARPANET and what became the internet and what evolved as the internet has been around for about 40 years. All of these things are about 40 years.
It was DARPANET and ARPANET. Those were different.
It doesn't really matter. A fucking network of computers that sit there and talk to each other. It doesn't fucking matter. Right? The number of people that had access slowly expanded, then it rapidly expanded with the access to broadband. And so now
here's
we're
another one
dealing
for
with.
you. We're probably the last generation that's going to truly understand the fact that the World Wide Web and the internet are two separate things.
That's a weird point. Yeah, actually.
That used to be like a big thing, that used to be a big distinction. Now nobody does care.
Yeah, it's like there's a...
They don't have to.
It's just one protocol. It's just...
the World Wide Web, like, that's the physical manifestation of it. The internet is layered on top of that as the functionality we use. And that distinction has been so disconnected. All you do is have a device now, and you have the internet. You don't have to worry about who you're talking to, what you're connected to anymore. All that's been so obfuscated. And that's the other thing is there is a massive die-off in expertise right now that needs to be replaced. And oddly enough, LLMs are there are job offers out there. There are shit job offers, like $40 an hour. There are job offers out there right now. If you're a chemical engineer or a chemist or a mathematician or a physicist, they are looking for us to do problems and to evaluate the ability of LLMs to do problems.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those.
And it's always gonna be, and here's it's not a racial thing. It's just what it is. It's always gonna be some Indian person living up in New York who's looking for it. It's just, I think that's who they're pulling in as the project leads on these. Is they're probably pulling in H-1B. And
well,
I'm not knocking them. It's just like it's the same names every damn time that I see, and it's never different. And it's from like 10 different companies at this point.
So from what I've seen for the stuff that's come to me, they've come to me and they've said, "Hey, we'll offer you if you're willing to work with and try to train an LLM or AI to do what is essentially your job. We're willing to pay you." It's trash pay. It really is. It's part-time, it's like this amount of money, and I sit there and I look at it, it's like, hey, I'm not going to spend 20 hours a week talking to an LLM and teaching it chemical engineering problems.
It's like, here's the funny thing. I actually have a chemical engineering LLM model. I could, in theory, just use that and make the $40 an hour for 20 hours a week. And then like just see if it worked and fuck with them. Which at some point might actually be worth my time. That'd be funny. At some point it'd be worth my time and it'd be funny.
I just when it comes to AI, I know it's a huge talking point, but from what I've seen, I think the tech bros are overselling it.
Oh yes.
I have yet to see AI actually think. In general, I know, but like I haven't seen it think.
LLM's not going to do it.
I've heard, I hear all of this stuff about the Argentum AI and all the other stuff, and maybe like I know what they're trying to achieve, and I suspect eventually they'll achieve something akin to digital consciousness. But I also sit there and I say, hey, all of the stuff that I've learned has been learned over decades. And it's not something that I learned because I was told the right answer. It's something I learned because I failed at it 1,000 fucking times. Right? And
yeah, it's the Tesla versus Edison models of getting shit done. The Edison model gets shit done in a bit more of a permanent manner, but by brute force, whereas the Tesla model is kind of brilliance of insight. And insight learning versus base abstraction learning, these are radically different learning metrics and learning styles. And the Edison model of just finding 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb before finally landing one, like that is something that will eventually get you there, and it does take time. That's actually kind of more the base way that humans learn before they start getting to the rapid insight abstractions that kind of take over later on.
Well, oh wow, that was a really cool shooting star. Very nice. I think more than that, what you end up finding is that what works is not in books. That's the reality of the situation.
Well, that's one of the reasons we do UO Lab as engineers, is that you have to at some point learn how to do the job and that the books are the baby steps. That tells you
the books are everything is square, everything is perfect, everything exists in, and the reality is the world is massive.
It's the physicist's uncharged spherical cat in a vacuum.
Yep. And that's like it's great. Don't get me wrong, right? Like a lot of that stuff, a lot of those concepts are really critical. But that's the stuff that the gap between the theoretical and the practical is where I'm not it's more massive than I think a lot of people like to think it is, particularly academics and tech pros.
That was the thing I did. That was the thing I did very successfully both at UF and at Virginia Tech. Is I taught UO Lab as an undergrad and as a grad student. I taught it, and that is like the thing that you have to get across to students is that this is all wonderful stuff that you've learned. You now have to, one, actually do it, and two, you are now the painter. This is the brush, this is the paint, and while they have made some wonderful drawings in that book, you now have a canvas and hardware, and you need to actually make real shit happen. And that is something
more importantly, figure out why it's not working. Right.
That was the thing I had to tell them with the reports is, look, I don't care if it specifically worked. I want you, one, to pick something that you can do and do it well, as in do it thoroughly. And two, if it breaks, you need to be able to tell me why.
Yep.
And that's what I want. That's the thing. That's critical later on in industry because you get failure reports and you have to be able to write those failure reports.
And I think that's the thing with AI that like I'm not super impressed with. Is
AI they just want to run perfectly.
I think that AI did a very good job at taking out the theater kids, right? It in one fell swoop demonstrated that the fucking theater kids were not as really hot as shitty and not as creative or intelligent or.
That was the fun part. Is who did it come for first? Who did it come for first? The air quotes creatives, right?
I think the gap between the creatives and the engineers is absolutely massive. Now, the gap between the creatives and the engineering students, not particularly great. The gap between the creatives and the engineers, absolutely fucking chasm. And it's going to be those lessons learned. It's going to be all the mistakes that you make along the way to being great.
Well, I think it was something that was interesting that we had when Evan and I were having a conversation with his friend Rob, who was a creative.
Was this his furry?
No, this was not the furry. This was a genuine artist. And he had good art. Good painter. But he said the same thing though. Who did they come for first? The creatives. I guess they weren't so creative.
Right.
And so there was that bit of introspective reflection, which I thought was very was unique amongst artists because most of them are just railing against the system. They're angry that their art has been trivialized in a way that is non-trivial, that they can't just kind of scoff at and say, oh well, anyone could do that. It's not an artist issue. It's like, no, man, this is your whole entire field condensed down to like a kilobyte.
Right. And it was easy to, that is a brutal thing, right? Like they all thought of themselves as brilliant and creative and impressive in their own right, and the reality was an engineer with with something that can fit on fit in a room comfortably could sit there and replicate their shit.
Well, that's the thing is I so not just like generative models, like not just GANs, not just like an LLM, which can replicate whole books, mind you. An LLM fits comfortably on a like a $10 USB key.
Yep.
Like that's the thing is so part of me doing my home LLM stuff has been like fucking with how small can I get this, and still have to run reasonably. You can put an 8 billion parameter model. That's like 5 gigs. That's less than 5 gigs. You can put that plus an agent to run it. Like all of that shit will fit comfortably on a 16 gig USB key. That's like $5 these days. To run it nicely and have like more space for stuff, you'd want to use like a 128 gig one. That's $16. So,
and the point is that every single time I hear these people, they talk about AI as if it's this great, wonderful thing. Every time I go use it, it's interesting. Like, it's nifty, but it's not going to solve the greater problems. And I think I'm not saying it can't ever get there, but when I sit there and I see people, I give credit to Elon Musk. He's a great salesman. Like, he's a great fucking salesman. He knows the vision. He knows the vision that everybody has of the future, and he is absolutely 100%. His engineering is aimed at producing it, and he deserves a lot of credit for taking everything as far as he does. He really does. He really deserves a lot of credit for that.
Sure. So right on top of that, I'll say this. Look at Apple and the way that they ran forward with things. As much as I'll give Apple shit, like they really did, forgiven all the vagaries of how annoyed I am with them, the whole walled garden approach, the whole idea of make it simple and accessible and show them the future instead of just asking them what they want for it.
Yep.
That approach Elon Musk has taken and to great success. That is a model for business and innovation at the same time. Business and innovation coupled together, that's your powerhouse, and he's got both of them. And he's got both of them, like, he's got a lot of both of them. This thing is, people don't just use his products, they want to help him make his products.
Yes.
So the engineering side, he has a lot of spare resources on.
Yep.
Which is a massive thing. That's something you have to draw as a company, and he found a way to do it.
He is absolutely a wonderful salesman. I think that, and you've seen this with most of his projections as to where his technology is going to be. The truth is, it never fucking lands, right? It never fucking lands on the timeline that he's looking at, but he sells it. He says, we've achieved this. He does it really, really well. He comes in, he says, we've achieved this milestone, done this other thing, and this is where it's
the one promise he's kept. You can see this in the one promise he's been able to keep, and that is that his stock price will continue to soar. And that's the thing, is, as people keep saying, it's unsustainable, it's not founded on reality, etc. It's like, no. It's founded on his continued ability to deliver his product. His main product, of course, is his stock price.
Yep.
And it's just really funny. It's like it is circular logic to when you try to lay that snake out straight, you're gonna find it biting his ass. But at the same time, that his ability to continue to sell that is so critical to it, and that continued success has been what's funded the follow through that does eventually come. He has produced cars. He has produced robots. Not many of them, but like he has produced them.
Oh, and
he has actually sold
just a super duper quick aside. Big fan of the show, Dr. Mason. Many may know him as Thunderfoot. He released
the Solar Freaking Roadways guy.
Yeah, he recently released a new video. As you can imagine, it goes into great depth on any number of broad fields in which he is very studied and learned. No, of course. Just kidding. He's actually just ragging on Elon Musk for whatever the latest thing was. Because
Musk free.
I mean,
that guy needs a new hobby.
He does. He really does.
I don't know. I give Musk credit. But like the idea of an Optimus robot that will come into your house and autonomously into your house, right? Your environment, and autonomously do chores I think that's a lot further off than people think.
It is.
And that's not because chores
on Mars. That's the thing.
I got it.
Robots to Mars. Well, it's just like that's the context that's different.
I think that he will achieve it. But what he's selling, right, when he sells something like an Optimus robot,
he's selling a homemade.
This is a good, decent characteristic. You say, okay, so what are the various factors that your robot needs to be able to do? It needs to learn the entire environment that you're in and navigate it, right? Some of this is going to be a very, very open space. Let me finish. Some of this is going to be a very, very open space with limited shit, and the robot's probably going to be able to perform very well in that. some of it's going to be cluttered with kid shit everywhere. And the robot's not going to be able to do that as well. And so you're going to need AI to develop kind of an understanding of a three-dimensional environment. Even your Roombas, they're only dealing with essentially a two-dimensional environment. So your autonomous robot needs to deal with a three-dimensional environment, and it needs to simultaneously distinguish between the way the environment is and the way the environment should be without you providing input to it. And that is a very, very, very long way away in terms of how this goes. And then on top of that, you want to start talking about the other technology that has to go into it. It's going to include things like batteries and battery life and all that other stuff. If you wanted to turn around and tell me an Optimus robot's going to operate for 30 minutes, I'd believe you. If you're going to tell me an Optimus robot's going to operate for 6 hours doing all the house chores that need to get done, I'm going to tell you you're full of shit. That's not going to happen.
Well, I think that there's an expectation here that somehow it's going to be a self-contained singular unit, and I can be the first person to tell you, which is the obvious. It's not going to happen. It's going to be cloud-based. It's going to be cloud-based, or at the very least, it's going to have a home server set up, and it's going to be a power-hungry beast. And the ability, so the part of this is going to be gaining, this is going to be the compromise people are not going to understand. The same way where you buy a phone these days and you sign up for a whole bunch of privacy invasion that you did not necessarily explicitly get told you're going to be getting. This is going to be a level of home invasion that is going to be unprecedented. Roombas are another one, but again, I mean, you're right. They're essentially two-dimensional, but more importantly, even the cloud map that's uploaded, that has very little information about it. A device that is going to have to navigate your home in that fashion is going to know where everything is, and more importantly, is going to classify what those items are.
At the very least, to know if something's breakable.
The map,
it's going to have to think about it this way, right? Like your AI robot is going to have to think of your average cluttered kitchen. Think of my average cluttered kitchen where everything's fucking everywhere. And there's goddamn, I'm doing construction all the time in my house because I'm always doing construction on my house. So I've got tools that shouldn't be in the kitchen. They need to go downstairs in the basement. But I'm not going to go put them downstairs in the basement because I need them for tomorrow. Right? You need the robot to be able to simultaneously, if I want it to keep my house clean, figure out all of the dishes where they are and where they need to go. Wash all of the dishes in all of the places that they need to be washed. Then turn around and identify all of the items that are in locations that they're not supposed to be and figure out where those locations are supposed to be. And then if I don't happen to have a pre-existing organizational structure where it knows, go to box A1 on shelf, 12 in this position, it's going to have to figure out how to put all that stuff together. Guess what? They're not going to be able to fucking do it. The amount of physical data in terms of voxels that you're going to need to process in terms of what it is versus where it needs to be versus all the other stuff is absolutely massive. Well, if they turn around, if Elon Musk produced an Optimus robot for $30,000 that took care of all of my house chores, would I buy it? Damn fucking straight. Just like I'd buy a fucking slave to go sit there and do that fucking shit. Right? That's about what the price of your average historical slave was. And I will absolutely buy an Optimus robot that's capable of that. I'm not even gonna sit there and doubt that for a minute in my mind. That would be a $30,000 robot that took care of all of my house chores and had a life expectancy of 5 years would be fantastic for me. It would double my overall personal work efficiency, and I'd be able to run multiple small businesses if it was taking care of the mundane shit that needs to get done. But now, so this whole weekend, I've spent sitting there and accomplishing chores, right? Friday and Saturday were, I'm in the process, I just finished cleaning out my French drains in my basement, which, for those who don't have to worry about that, it diverts water to a sump. That's basically what it does. In basements that are older and aren't as well sealed as modern basements like mine is, my house is 120 years old, it just diverts water to the sump. Those things have probably not been cleaned in the 120 years that my house has been standing. And so I was
Oh, no.
mucking out these fucking trenches that are back behind cabinets, and I have to move all the stuff out of the way. I have to move individual items out of the way, ignoring the fact that servos are going to have limitations on what they can physically lift in terms of raw poundage. Sitting there and saying, hey, go solve the fact that my basement has water in it and has mold in it, and you need to go sit there and take care of that. It's not going to be able to fucking do that shit. Now you want to sit there and it's going to have to figure out how to go sit there and crouch underneath each shelf and figure out how to shovel out the muck and then figure out how to move the muck out of the basement. And then it's going to have to sit there and clean it and sterilize it and do all this other shit that I've done in order to get my basement clean. It's not going to be capable of doing that. It's just not going to be capable of doing that. You want to turn around and talk about something simple like dishes. It might be able to do dishes if it knows where dishes are and where dishes need to go. But it's not going to be able to accomplish the go gather dishes and put them into the place that they need to be put in. That's not going to happen. So, like, I just, a lot of the stuff with AI is way oversold. Like, I think it's definitely something that's feasible from a, like, let's eliminate the theater kids because they're fucking useless. But it's not particularly useful in the case of, you know, let's accomplish something useful with the day-to-day lives of the average citizen.
I don't know. We've got a lot of companies that are developing these humanoid robots for specifically this, so there's got to
be... because the amount of money that you could make off if you turn around and told me there was going to be some sort of robot that I could buy and throw in my house and it'll go fucking do my chores for me, there's a lot of money in that. I guarantee you there's a lot of money in that.
Well,
right, if I can turn around and I can get a robot that for 1 year, if I got a product that gave me a 1 year limited, I paid thousands of dollars. I can't remember how much I paid for my Roombas. I got a Roomba. I've got like one of the more advanced Roombas from a few years back, and I got the Scuba. I think they were like $1,000 for the package for the two of them. So I paid $1,000 for two things that just fucking clean my floors. You want to turn around and tell me that you're going to give me something that does everything? Does my laundry, does my dishes, keeps the floors clean, organizes and put my shit away, sits there and mops and sweeps and dusts, handles all of the cleaning, and does all of this stuff while I'm away at work? Yeah, I'm going to pay a lot of money for that.
I mean, as even with the kind of the retro Luddites interpretation of much of the film from iRobot, you still got to see a vision of a future in which robots are capable and willing, you know, as much as willing to do anything, you know, capable of doing all of these chores for humans. Like, that vision isn't without its perks. And there's a lot of people who are lazy enough and willing enough to invite that into their home. And it's not a bad thing, it's just what it is. Yep. And I mean, and I perfectly agree. Like, if there's a robot out there, you know, the version 3 versus version 4 in that movie was a huge leap. And if the version 3 is, not only were they willing to like save the humans, but they were the ones who are, you know, they're clunky enough to be on the one side of the uncanny valley, and they're also competent enough to get chores done and do them well enough to actually help people. You know, and there are many cases beyond just lazy power users, which I think we've comfortably fit into. There are many use cases outside of us, including people who are elderly and disabled, who could actually legitimately use a home assistant like this that doesn't cost, you know, $45,000 a year or what have you.
Oh yeah, in the coming
years. If you
years,
turn around and told me that I could buy a robot that for 6 to 8 hours a day will go muck out my fucking basement drains for me, yeah, I'd pay for that fucking thing.
Exactly.
Like, if I could turn around and say, I need you to go sit there and do that. But again, right, like, my basement's pretty full of crap. It's just full of tools and stuff, that projects and camping equipment and a whole bunch of other stuff. It has to move everything out of position, stack it so that it can maneuver through it, and then sit there and clean out the fucking drains. That's a lot of fucking data. That's a lot of fucking data that it needs to process. In a three-dimensional space, my Roombas, on the other hand, they just say, hey, object here, can't clean there. right? That's a whole different. That's a whole different thing. That level of home assistant that's being sold by Elon Musk is a very, very long way away. So I'm not too worried about AI taking over. Like I would be more concerned that my kid would not be able to be an engineer like me, and that would kind of suck. But he could absolutely be an HVAC technician because I damn well believe that in 20 years we're not going to have robots that are going to be able to sit there and solve air conditioners.
Well, here's
right?
another
I think
one.
that's a
He could
lot
easily
harder.
be an H. Here's the one that here's the industry on the side that he won't be able to break into so easily is all of the call center scammers, and the HVAC tie-in there is that they try to sell you HVAC cleaning, especially in Canada. All of those jobs are going to be automated away very soon, which will be hilarious because Karachi will implode. And God bless whoever designs that robot first because fuck them. I hope every call center goes out of business.
Oh, and to be fair, the accent will be much better.
No,
Like
I am
much
a
more
big
American.
fan. Like, if Trump wanted to really pull a win, he could go after those. Like, if he turned around and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go after call centers,"
dude.
That would be very funny.
Well,
that would just be amazing.
I would love to see the left's argument because they're so totally reactionary at this point.
Oh yeah,
everything that he does is
because
bad.
they're going to say no. We need call centers.
You are taking money out of Akshit's mouth. Yes, I said that right.
Yeah, what happens to Akshit's family if he can't get your money?
I don't know how they would do it. I know that they would because they've done it on a whole bunch of things. Although I will say did you guys see some of the messaging that came out of DC this week?
Oh, how very pleased some of the residents are with how livable
not just
their
the
city
residents.
Oh yeah,
not just the residents. Bowser came out and said,
"Oh
hey,
no, I hate that." Really?
She actually. So Bowser actually went out of her way, and she admitted that enforcing crime or enforcing the law on criminals had a significant effect on crime. She actually posted the the 20 days previous year, all of those stats, and basically showed that she insisted that it happened. And then and oddly enough, what's really funny, I know that he's Trump is feuding with Pritzker right now.
Yeah.
What was really funny about this is that Bowser basically said, yeah, they fucking fixed a lot of shit.
Isn't that funny?
Like,
yeah,
Bowser came out and said something along the lines of, we're thankful that Mr. Trump has decided to sit there and step in because it really helped us get a control on the situation. And you know, I hope I don't have a large hope, but I have a small amount of hope that the Democrats have kind of learned from this experience and said, hey, maybe not everybody's pro-crime.
Dude, I think that the midterms are going to inform them completely, I think.
And
I don't know.
We've got two. While we're talking about this, we should probably mention Chicago's in the crosshairs. And
well, they keep on saying that.
Well, no,
they keep on saying
they
that.
do
but
say that.
You know,
apparently there's been some people seen on scene. Like they're starting to see some National Guard. They're starting to see some DHS people.
So last week I said that Trump's smartest play would be to go into blue cities in red states and sit there and you know what? That's what he fucking did.
Total autonomy.
That's what he fucking did. The 2,000 National Guard that got activated, the 100 or whatever they deployed to all these cities, he only went into red states. He only went into states that he won handily. So
the next step is going to be getting into at least probably so his next step is going to be going after more blue strongholds because I think that's the part of the desire there is to convert blue strongholds, but go for the low-hanging fruit first in the red states. But I think he's going to run out eventually. He's going to have to start pushing harder in the foreign territory.
Maybe. I mean, I think that I give him a lot of credit because I was kind of concerned that he's a fucking idiot. I'm not as much as I am a fan of Trump and Trump's policies. I'm not a fan of Trump himself.
Right. Well, that's pretty common.
Right.
That's the funny thing that the left
I
doesn't
do-
understand is that's basically the prevailing attitude is, well, Trump's a bit of an asshole and a moron, but he surrounds himself with competent people.
Well, not only that, but he,
And his policies are good.
the bottom line is that you don't have to be an intellectual giant to decide that crime is bad for everybody. Right? Like that doesn't.
Yeah, it's really funny how that logic works.
I love the I love that when everybody posts the bell curve, how like the morons and the intelligent people are in the same bit, and then the midwits are like on the opposite side. And I think that's really what we end up seeing here is that
it's an 80-20
like
thing.
when it comes to Trump,
issue.
I think he's kind of a moron.
now.
I really do.
Evan, it's not an 80-20 issue. It's a 97-3 issue, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
I think that Trump's kind of a moron, but at the same time, like I am not in the NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC news bubble, and so even though I think Trump is an idiot, Trump also turns around and sits there as an idiot and says, "Hey, let's clear the rabble from this bullshit," and all of a sudden it works. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't like the man. I think that he has the intellectual capabilities of a kumquat, but at the same time, you know what? That kumquat tastes pretty good. Let's fucking bite into it, and that's kind of how this fucking goes.
Well,
you know, I have to know that I'm eating a kumquat. I have to know that I'm saying kumquat. But whatever, you know what? Like that's the way to go. I don't think he's smart. I don't think he's a very bright guy. I don't think he doesn't. At least he doesn't talk that way.
I think he was a brilliant. I think he was a brilliant real estate developer, and that's basically been his entire career. Is that in promoting his brand?
But I think
where he's been able to invest smartly in businesses.
Not just promoting his brand, but integrating his brand.
Sure. Well,
I think
people call Trump Steak, Trump University, but like the guy's only got a handful of businesses that have failed out of like 200.
Right. And that's a really good point. Actually,
I think at the end of the day,
mentioning just real quickly on it is Trump Steaks and Trump Water. They're quote failed businesses. They're not at all. They're actually very common on Trump properties. It was largely just a vertical integration of things he's using and already needs. Okay, the whole of the entire American market didn't say, "Oh, we need that." Well, it wasn't really for the whole of the American market. It was kind of hey, let's just throw it out there and see if people buy it. And if not, whatever. We've already integrated our production.
But let's be fair. Trump University. Did that work out?
That's why I went with Trump Steaks and Trump Water, because
right.
those are
that's like what's his name's university where.
So I think one of the things that gets missed is that when it comes to real estate is a business, and I own my house. I also own a rental, and ultimately, when you're making your real estate decisions in terms of what's going to make you fucking money and what's not going to make you fucking money, it becomes a very, very clear and evident line as to what you have to do to make money. And I think that when you say, hey, where am I going to invest in? I'm not going to invest in a crime-ridden area. I will invest in distressed properties in a decent area, but I'm also going to sit there and pull things like comps, right? So I'm going to look for properties that are trading below market value in comparison to other properties in the immediate area, right? Just because if I turned around and I just sat there and bought a shitty-ass property in a shitty-ass neighborhood, I'm not going to make any money. One of the reasons that I'm building an addition on my house is that I actually will profit from the construction of the addition. It's going to cost me $80,000. That sucks, right? Nobody sits there and walks away saying $80,000 is a good amount of money. But I think it's about $400 a square foot is the average price, and I'm going to add about 400 square feet. So I get what, $160,000 out of it, $180,000 out of it, something like that, depending on like it's plus or minus. But if it costs me $80,000, hell, if it costs me $120,000 to add 400 square feet of property to my house. I think it's like 22 by 24, so it's a little bit more than that, but call it 400 because that's easy.
Sure.
I still, if it's $80,000, which was what the contractor quoted me, even if I go up to 120, I add a 50% because it's a fucking rough order of magnitude or whatever the fuck it is, right? I'm spending $120,000 to get $160,000 of property value. That's a fucking steal. And that's kind of the mentality that you end up having with real estate that I don't think a lot of other industries have. So when he turns around and he sits there and says, okay, I'm going to look at the stats of this. This is a high crime neighborhood. I don't want to fucking build here. You want to know why you don't want to fucking build in a high crime neighborhood? Because the irony of property and real estate is your value can always go down.
It can.
You think it can't. You think it can't. But crime and particularly a high crime area, it will perpetually go down. So my rental, for instance, is
well. This is what I'd say. Has he bought anything near DC? I mean, he's in the position power right now to rapidly increase the property value of any properties he owns in the area, or any properties that his friends own in the area.
Well, I don't think. I think that he chose to distance himself from direct stuff.
Well, that's the thing is, I'm not saying he did this out of pure commercial financial gain. I'm saying like this is something he can do to improve the whole country. If you just reduce crime, and property value goes up everywhere, which reverses the incoming bubble of basically value not being able to prop up the prices that BlackRock and Vanguard have created.
Yep.
Like if you get rid of a bunch of migrants, get rid of a bunch of
never mind
aliens,
that you'll open up a bunch of housing.
That's right. So you'll open up housing, which lowers prices, but if you decrease the crime, then you raise the prices. You can balance that out a bit and prevent a sudden collapse. The suddenness of a collapse is what caused the whole 2008 crisis. If it had collapsed slower, if it had taken like 2 or 3 years to do it, there would have been adjustments in the market, but it also wouldn't have been as painful and as it wouldn't have caused that kind of capital contraction that cost jobs. Which ultimately is going to be part of it is if you have a sudden loss like that, rates have to go up, which is kind of a spiral. And so they went with quantitative easing under Obozo, but that basically has left us holding the bag later.
Yeah. That's
a separate thing.
down the road.
But
right.
I think the point is that going back to the original thing, he's an idiot. But real estate as a business, which he has been in, he understands the permanency of assets and the value of improving the assets that you have, which is really the only way you make money in real estate. It's that you take something that's shitty and you make it better. Because if you're just planning on,
and like it's something, that's the thing is if you know any house flippers, I know a couple. Like the thing, they're always looking for how do we put more into this. You say, well, where are you getting this all from? It's like, well, I just sold that. It's like, okay, so you have the capital.
Yep.
They operate on thinner margins than you think, given the lavishness of the houses they can produce. But on the side of that, they get to keep one of the houses, and every 5 years flip to the next one.
And that's
because it's the cost of business, and they can get rid of the entire necessity of home equity, which is hilarious.
Like for my rental, I bought it before they raised interest rates crazily. So I don't think I'll actually sell it. I think I'll end up just keeping it. But I've made enough. I've fixed pretty much all. Like the property was fucking riddled with problems when I got it.
I know.
But I basically
actually
every single year, I lose money on that property, but I gain equity. And so, as much as I lose money every single year, and I don't get me wrong, I work my ass off to make sure I lose money. It's a very strong incentive to try to spend money and improve the property and try to make it better and fix it. Right? I can't put in any upgrades, but I can.
Those write-offs aren't going to write themselves off, by God.
That's exactly right. So I'll probably access that with a bank loan in the future. But at the same time, you turn around, the principle is the same. if I turn around and I said, "Hey, I've got this rental to the point where it's stable and it's not going to cost me any like I'm not going to have any major costs every year because I've been fixing things when years are stable enough or good enough and I've been putting more time in." Well, that means that I get to go sit there and buy another property. I could sit there and say, "Hey, I'm going to pool these two things together as part of the equity and the investment that I have plus the value of the next property," and I can go start putting that forward. I take out a loan on one and I sit there and I pool the other one, and now all of a sudden I've got extra money. Eventually you get to the point where your income offsets a lot of this other stuff, but it always comes down to physically finding properties that are under market value. I had one that I sat there and I kicked off to my real estate agent and I was like, "Hey, I kind of want to get this one now." And they're like, "Yeah, I don't think it's worthwhile. Look, this is a really sketchy fucking setup they got." But there's plenty of properties out there that you can buy that are way below market value because they need repairs, right? You're going to have to go in there and either kick out the tenants, or maybe the tenants are there and they're paying their rent on time. Like the one I got was probably the best scenario. The tenants are there, they're paying their rent on time. The guy doesn't really want to spend the money because the roof needs to be fixed and it's got holes and stuff. And he's literally spent zero time, effort, and energy on this fucking property over the years. And so now all of a sudden I get to go buy it. I inherit a world of problems. And let me tell you, there are fucking months that fucking sucked. And I'm like, man, I got to get out of this fucking thing. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we had this swing. It went from negative 15 degrees. It went from 40 degrees to negative 15 and then back to 40 in like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, that's
and like all the fucking pipes broke and it fucking like all of a sudden they're calling me. They're like, "Hey, my water's no longer working." I'm like, "Dude, you got city water." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, but it's no longer working." I'm like, "I know I paid the bill." I'm like, "Oh shit, that means there's a fucking ice block in the thing and I got heaters in there trying to save it." And it didn't save anything because other pipes burst and ruptured. But you go and you fix that shit and it sucked. It sucked for 3 fucking months. I was in there every I'd get out of work at 5:30 and I go over there, and from 5:30 to 8, or from like 6 to 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, every single night I was replacing pipes and fixing things that broke and repairing the systems and getting their shit back online, because obviously when pipes broke on the upstairs apartment, it not only flooded the downstairs apartment, which required its own repairs, but it also sat there and required, like, the upstairs didn't have heat, so I had to get all of their shit done. Because the equipment broke at the same time, which fucking sucked.
Of course.
But you get it all stable, and now all of a sudden, like, this year has been relatively quiet. So what have I done, right? I've taken my money, and all of my money has gone. I've got a contractor. He's relatively cheap. He's fucking shitty for schedule, but he's relatively cheap. And I've said, "Bro, go fucking fix this. Go sit there and replace the roof. Go sit there and do the stairs. Go sit there and I've got to sit there at some point." And like, he keeps on not telling me when he plans on going in for the bathroom, but he's got to go sit there and replace the floor in the bathroom. And once that's done, like, it's going to be $2,500, $5,000 out for the year for replacement on this thing. But that's the only repair I've needed to do.
That's not bad.
And the previous years, no, it's not bad. The previous years, I've done all kinds of shit where I've had to put $1,000. You put $1,000 in parts in, and it's going to be $5,000, $6,000 worth of labor. But I've done that labor myself. But you eventually get to a point where it's stable, and once it's stable, now all of a sudden you can expand. And when you talk about someone like Trump knows this. Like, this is inherent to his whole entire thing. And he's just sitting there and talking about, like, when he talks about DC, he's not talking about DC from the perspective of, like, a president concerned about the populace. He's looking at it as a real estate mogul. He's like, "Look at this shit. This is a fucking crime-ass ridden city. It's going to cost me..."
Like, who wants to come to this shitty city?
Nobody wants to come here, right? I can turn around and improve this city around. It's going to cost me what? I'm going to take 500 agents or whatever the fuck it costs every week. Okay, so that's a few $1 million a week, and then the overall property values will go up by X $1 million. This is a very worthwhile investment for me to make.
Yeah.
That's how he's looking at it. And that's how he's looking at it, not just there, but he's also looking at it in the. He's also looking at that for other cities in the future.
Well, he's if it's just a raw numbers deal, then he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
I mean, you can say all you want about how that's maybe not the most in-depth or educated way of looking at things, but the thing about it is, when a problem gets solved, it kind of doesn't matter the minutia of the solution if the solution works.
That's correct.
All I got to say to that is El Salvador. I mean, the people are very, very happy, and they're safe, and they can build a future, and they couldn't.
And I think this is the hardest part for me as a libertarian. Like, I don't like cops, and I don't like government. I don't want them fucking interfering with the shit that I have to do. But at the same time, there are people who are useless sacks of trash, and they gotta be thrown out. Like, you gotta deal with them. Like, you can't...
Speaking of useless sacks of trash and throwing people out.
Your gold does not count.
England.
Okay.
Dude, it's not just England. It's not just England.
I know, but...
Fucking Australia's up in arms. I think Indonesia is up in arms.
Yeah, kind of a few people are... they're getting very, very fatigued, you could say, with some accuracy.
Well, I think England was the good example because they have had a recent notion to start raising up the St. George. And a lot of people have been very angry that a country might fly its own fucking flag.
Quite a few. Yeah. Saying it's racist and all sorts of...
Yeah, so there's this great one I saw from a watermelon head, of course, because why the fuck wouldn't a pro-Pally person be upset about this kind of stuff? Saying, my granddad parachuted into France to end fascism in Europe. He told me they would come back one day because people were extremely naive and stupid. He was right. We'll have to fight them again, only this time on our own soil. It's not patriotism, it's fascism. And it's just a road with a bunch of flags raised, a bunch of St. George flags on poles.
Yep.
And like this is the sign of a demoralized people. I mean, I don't care if this one specific idiot is characteristic or not. It's endemic to the region right now. Like, they're having some serious issues. Like, they have people like this who are insisting that giving a fuck about having borders is somehow fascism, which is really not the modus operandi of fascism to begin with.
Kind of
the
opposite.
Well, and
we're happy to dissolve borders. They wanted everyone else's resources because they couldn't sustain their socialist policies.
I think the bigger thing is not necessarily the. I understand the folks on the left are just going to call everything fascist because that's just kind of their playbook. But you got to pause. I actually feel really bad for Britain. I feel really bad for Britain.
Yeah.
Because as shitty as things are economically for us with migrants, our police are still, for the most part, enforcing the law. In England,
they're not allowed.
And in the UK, they're not. They're actively suppressing stuff because it would be contrary to multiculturalism.
They're arresting people over fucking retweets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Retweet, like, not even posting not even their own posts. Someone reposts something and they get an investigation and they get arrested.
So you turn around and you start talking about like the situation in the UK. I actually legitimately feel bad for the UK. Right? Like I was worried about America under Biden. I was legitimately worried about America under Biden. But you start talking about the UK and what they're going through, they got rape gangs, man. Like,
we can bitch
all day and night about the situation with.
But
we got gangs, but we don't have people. We don't have fucking pedophilic gangs sitting there and seizing our fucking kids and raping them in fucking, like in gang raping them.
Not
this
as
is
endemic as there. You're certainly right on that aspect.
Right, like I would say that is far worse. And I give credit again. We're going to talk about Elon Musk again. The man is I give credit to him for saying that he's going to go out there and fund, anybody who wants to sit there and go after the rape of Britain because fuck that. And you look at my people, the Scottish chick who raised her fucking hatchet and blade. Right. Great on her because she's Scottish, and the Scottish, we long to raise arms against our British oppressors.
Well, the funny thing is the Scottish cross, right? And someone stylized it to have a knife and an axe instead. I thought was pretty fucking great.
Yeah, and like what's crazy. What's crazy is I've sat there and here's the bigger problem that you have is that the government itself is not believed. The government came out and said, "Hey, they started it. They yelled at him." But the government's not
that whole fucking story was
and you know
great.
what? Actually, hold on. Let's just pause for a quick second and zoom in on this specifically because there are some updates that should probably be shared. We have since learned that the Asian man that was
okay. The Koreans are at it again, are they?
Yeah, the Japanese man because he was totally Japanese anyway. The fella there with the camera phone. They had attacked the girl that she was defending.
No shit.
Beforehand. Him and like his sister or his girlfriend or some chick.
Anybody with a pair of eyes could have seen that in her face.
And they were attacked. Went to the hospital afterwards, just by the by.
Right.
And so there's your backstory. They had been physically assaulted by the guy that's pulled out the camera.
Well, one of them was. So there's actually, if for folks who want to go out and look for it, there is an account from one of the girls that was involved in this. It was a gaggle. Yeah. I think that's the appropriate way to address women traveling in a group. But there was a gaggle of girls. 12. One was 12, one was 13, and one was 14. The 12-year-old was the one who brought weapons. And you got to pause for a moment when a 12-year-old girl decides that it is in her best interest to carry weapons.
It was the 14-year-old,
because
not the 12-year-old, just to clarify.
No, it was the 12-year-old that brought the weapons.
Maya?
Ruby, I think.
I believe Ruby was the one that was attacked, and Maya was the one on film with the weapons.
I don't think so.
I mean, it's equivalent. Well, it's a small minor quibble as far as the difference in years.
My understanding is that the 12-year-old had weapons. So there's. To be fair, I've seen this a couple different ways. But the reason that I'm sitting there and being specific here is I also spent the very painful time watching one of the four. There was a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old. There's the
one girl who did a video afterwards.
The one girl who did a video afterwards said it was the 12-year-old who had the weapons. It was Ruby's younger sister, I think, or maybe it was Ruby. I can't remember.
Well, she said, "Get your hands off my sister. She's 12 years old." So that lends credit.
No. That's not what she said. She said that. So the 12-year-old pulled out the weapons. Nobody knew that she had the weapons. The younger sister had the weapons. The older sister was the one that got beat and got sent to the hospital with a concussion. The 14-year-old was kind of a bystander, and she ran away. And she's the one who was telling the story. So that I take that as the more accurate telling, just because it's directly from the people that were involved rather than internet drama. So the short version is that either way, it doesn't really matter. They're all fucking underage, right?
Excuse me.
The short version was the police have said, hey, yeah, they did yell at them, based on a convenience store footage. And they, the 14-year-old came out and said, yeah, we did actually yell at him. But that was after he followed us sitting there and saying that, hey, we're sexy or whatever. They just come from a pool. They validated that all of the story seems to check out. There's a pool in the area. And they were going. But, like, you got to pause for a minute and think about, like, regardless of whether it's 12, 13, or 14-year-old, a girl felt that she needed to carry weapons. A prepubescent girl felt that she needed to carry weapons as she went out. Right? I know. So a buddy of mine's kids.
Oh, and I'll include a link to the one girl who was there and put out her statement on this.
Is this the video link?
Yeah.
So.
This is where she's doing the makeup.
Yeah,
that's rough. It's rough to It's rough to watch. It's tough as a 40-year-old because I'm sure she could have gone at a bunch of different ways, but
it is what it is.
Anyway. It is what it is. You gotta accept it. But I'll be honest, right? I got a friend of mine. His kid prior to the summer was suspended from school for bringing quote unquote weapons to school. He brought a grenade that had its core removed. It was just something they picked up as a trinket. And he brought a cap gun that was like an orange and green cap gun. And the school suspended him, and they basically sat there and looked at it and said, yeah, we just have to do something because otherwise if people find out about it, yada. So that honest to God story, he got suspended. Think about this from the perspective of, like, that's a male kid just showing his friends. I expect a male child to have weapons at some point in school.
I remember bringing a fucking cap gun to school. That was fucking encouraged.
Right, that's exactly what it was. It was exactly. I'm pretty sure I had one of those in red and yellow.
Any comments on whether
I did you remember having the little the cap gun revolvers, right? You put in the little star of the caps in the back. Yeah, this is fucking bullshit. We used to play cops and robbers with that stuff.
Yep. So in any case, I remember having one that was red with a yellow barrel, and this one was orange with a green barrel. So it's the same fucking thing that you and I probably both had. But
I remember graduating us to getting one that looked like a silver gun, and it was just like Mylar paint on a red gun.
Yep. I expect a male to have weapons inadvertently. I do not expect a teenage girl to have weapons.
Yeah, she just happens to have an axe and a big old knife on her.
Right, like, you're not talking about, and like, again, if you're talking about, like, where are we going here? If the girl had, like, a gun, I would kind of believe that to be a whatever, she's just carrying it for coolness. If she's carrying a fucking, I think it was a kukri.
She's carrying a fucking hatchet.
If she had a hatchet and a fucking kukri, right?
It was like a chef's knife.
It was certainly not a 3.5-inch knife. It wasn't a pocket knife.
It was a big chunky.
It was a big one. Yeah.
It was like my bedside knife. It was big.
It was either like it wasn't a Bowie knife, but it was. I think it was like a
quite Bowie big.
No, it's a flat-bladed chef's knife that kind of curves down into a point, kind of reverse of how a tanto works. But yeah, they've got a nasty little tip on them that'll cut you.
For a female to carry weapons, and based on this other individual's telling, she did not know they carried weapons. For a female girl in her teens to feel she needs to carry weapons or wants, women do not want to carry weapons. That's just not their MO or their mentality.
It is out of character.
She felt a need to carry weapons to protect herself. Like, you can guarantee, and this is the thing, is it doesn't matter what the fucking police say, because this is not going to be the first time this has happened to the girls, and that is why the weapons were carried.
Yeah,
these things don't appear in a vacuum.
Nope.
That's not a random occurrence for a young girl to be carrying around bladed weapons.
It is not.
The chef's knife, okay, maybe.
Again, if she had been carrying around a pocket knife,
if they had been camping and she had like a camping hatchet instead of a fucking, single stamped out combat hatchet.
Well, it wasn't a stamped out combat hatchet. It was an East Wing style old school hatchet.
Like it was that hatchet was not like hey, let's go hang out.
As a matter of fact, that's actually a nice hatchet. Like actually, it's a good hatchet. Funny enough,
it wasn't one of those like, hey, let's just hang out kind of moments. It was hey, let's defend ourselves kind of things.
Oh yeah, there was a vibe there. There was a very discernible
so
vibe.
I stand with my my belief as a Scottish man that my Scottish females know the appropriate place, which is to carry weapons. All Scottish individuals should be armed appropriately. That is our duty. And our prosperous place in life is when we're fully armed. So, power to her. But, like, you gotta feel really bad for the Brits, man. You gotta feel really bad for the Brits because
I think that there was a one town that decided that they weren't going to pay taxes anymore to the fucking government because why would they if they're gonna be treated the way they are? Because they had the one township that had the judges that said the rights of the migrants, as in the illegal aliens, supersede those of the citizens who pay taxes and live there. And that
I don't think they said that explicitly.
They said that. They said
but
that
I can't remember. I can't remember. I know what you're talking about. I remember reading the decision, and it was very, very adjacent to that.
That's the message that the people who lived there got was the illegal aliens have more rights than you. So basically, what happens is they have 3 different classes of homeless people that are on their priority list. They have class A, B, and C. And the illegal aliens basically got shoved into class A in top priority on class A. So that if you are just poor and you cannot afford a house there and you're homeless, and that's what they did is they classified all illegal aliens as homeless people. Then if you're white Anglo British person, you're class C. They are class A.
And if you're a veteran, you might very well be a class D.
Right. So they made that decision that they are class A automatically, and they automatically have that right. Because this is an entitlement process over there, where they're supposed to, as British citizens, have this entitlement to be housed in public housing if they are homeless. They are scheduled in, and the available slots are given to the homeless. That's supposed to be for tax-paying British citizens, tax-paying English citizens, rather. And they just it's like nope. So all the illegal aliens who just got here are automatically class A. They all go to the front of the line. They get the first housing available.
I want to offer a slight distinction. I've listened to a lot of the Lotus Eaters, which has Thunderfoot there, and they have clarified numerous times that this is not an illegal immigrant problem. Britain does not have an illegal immigrant problem.
Oh no, there aren't any illegals there. They're all welcomed with open arms by the government.
Okay, this is true. Right. This is fair.
So
they serve the same function,
they have a legal migrant problem.
I mean, we do too, but that's another discussion.
Sure.
But yeah,
no, well, I think our side of things we have a much more pressing. I think we have a much more pressing illegal alien problem here in the U.S. than legal, but that's because we still vaguely have the notion of having a border.
No, true.
Right.
Whereas the UK seems to have just flat out fucking given up on that idea. Now, speaking of boundaries, I thought this would be a fun one to come back to, given the pressure that was put on this about a decade ago. The attempted promotion of pedophile groups everywhere.
Ah, map acceptance. Yes, indeed.
Right.
That's
Right.
something.
Right. So you'll remember certain outlets persistently putting out articles about every couple months about how great.
Just to clarify on the show position, we're not really pro map or pro cub.
You're
or
pro
love
furry.
chasing or any of that other shit.
Anyway,
They're pro furry. We're pro furry.
Are we?
Not really.
Don't let these two fool you. They invited a furry on when I wasn't here.
I had no fucking clue until he was here.
Whatever you say.
Well, you know what?
I didn't invite a furry on.
We only tolerated one of those, and that's the show host, Evan.
Anyway.
Sorry, VTuber. I sometimes forget the distinction between those.
Which I haven't even done that in forever. I should probably do something. Whatever.
So anyway, Redux Mag has this lovely little post notifying us all that what we knew was going to happen the entire time. And it's the funny thing is this is not the first time. It's a once again
by chance.
It's a once again kind of situation, not a oh my god that actually happened, but oh it happened again.
Oh, a reset
the head of
that
the
clock
well-known
situation.
Yeah, the head of the well-known non-offending pedophile activist group,
Virtuous Pedophiles is the name of that group.
Verpeds. The Verpeds have been outed as having a non-virtuous pedophile as the head of the Verpeds once again.
You could put your John money on that one.
I like how it's euphemized in the post. The group Virtuous Pedophiles has been promoted by some academics and journalists as a harm reduction resource. Like no. They promoted them as a virtuous group. That it's good to be a non-offending pedophile versus it's good to not be a pedophile.
Well, I mean, if you're going to offend or not offend, the options of the two, I would say definitely the non-offending is better given the options.
Yeah. I think non-offending is better than offending, but the problem is with non-offending pedophiles, it's a matter of time, not if but when, for their offending, is the downside of the whole pedophile thing. It seems that non-offending is simply
not the Harvey
an
Milk
initial
situation
state.
or anything either, but it's just. Sorry, had to.
Oh, and yeah, speaking of sorry, had to. August 29th was Skynet Day.
That's right. That is
on August 29th, 1997, at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Skynet became self-aware and decided to destroy all of humanity, somewhat succeeding. And yet here we are, glorious
beat that timeline.
28 years later.
We did beat that timeline, at least.
Let's be very clear here. One of the things that's kind of surprising is that the Skynet timeline lines up pretty well with AI development. Not perfect.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
As
far as how quickly it happened, yeah.
It is really not terribly far off.
Now, speaking of being not far off, going back towards the beginning of the show involving the Troon shooting. Okay. The GPS for Robert Westman's devices were present during at least 5 Antifa protests.
No, you don't say.
This guy might have been part of the.
He could be a Zizian.
This is exactly where I was going. He could be a Zizian.
Oh, that would.
In fact, the evidence points to him being a Zizian, which is probably why he was trafficking around certain circles. He was in the poll Discord. I saw that evidence. Now it turns out that the Skibidi Farms connection may not have actually been true. So that was an interesting one. Now that said, this. So I looked through earlier, and I think I have a post that's out there somewhere, listing off a bunch of different ways this person was associated, and one of them was the Skibidi Farms thing, which is now known as not true. But this person hated fucking just about everybody. Certainly anybody with, and it's clear that it comes from his mother. And the thing is,
I would disagree with that.
She's the one who signed off on the name change. And he went to the church to shoot up the church because that's where his mother had just retired from a position. She taught there.
Yeah.
Or not taught there. She was an admin there. But that was the reason why he skipped, for example, going to synagogues, which were on his list of targets, was because he went to the church first. That was where he was going to go and start his parade of madness and
just
go to
make another quick note, there
places.
was a discussion in that, as well as numerous maps and such things. Not that kind of map, the kind of... Anyway.
Right. The geolocation.
But that's neither here nor there, because that dude actually had expressed quite extreme regret at the trans conversion. And it's interesting that, unlike some others, he didn't take it out against somebody that really seems to have played a big hand in his conversion, and that's his mother.
Yeah, so the reason why he went after the little kids in the church instead of the synagogue
was because his mother was there. Let's be very clear here before we turn around and say, hey, this is because of his mother. The manifesto is a jumbled mess.
Oh, yes.
Right? It really is. Right? He simultaneously, his mother apparently told him he will regret going trans.
And he did.
And he did.
And he was upset that she was right.
Then he blamed her for allowing him to go trans. Yes. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of...
I mean, I wouldn't say that the kids died because of his mother. No. That's going a step too far.
Yeah, that's definitely...
They died because an insane troon decided to shoot the place up.
Yeah. I just want to be very clear here.
Yeah, that part should be
note, according to his note, his mother had explicitly told him that this was a mistake and he shouldn't do it.
Yes, and then he had severe regrets and he was very angry. And this all again, these are expressed regrets.
Let's be very clear on the anger. He is more angry at the fact that he would have to admit that he was wrong.
Yeah, and this was as much as I would blame the mother for...
I'm not going to cut off my hair because it's one of the reminders of this mistake that I've made. It's like,
I think all of that is
mind.
So that part of what we have to remember, and it's clear for the three of us, obviously. I'm pretty sure the three of us got this part squared pat. But for the listener, it's important to remember when analyzing these things that these are the ravings of a mad person. That part, there's a context to this. There are parts of it that might even appear to be wholly sane, but oftentimes are drawn from a point of lunacy. Like this is the confession of a insane person.
Yep.
And that has to be built into the context in which you analyze these things. Like there's not going to be necessarily a direct rational chain of reasoning.
Maybe if the direct writings on the weapons weren't enough to cue you into the fact that this person is
right.
deep level schizo, then maybe the
so here's the other thing is that this person idolized a lot of mass shooters.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this person clearly
this
spent a significant amount of time hoovering up that kind of information and internalizing
This is a perfect reason why the media is actually more to blame for mass shooters than anything else. This is a perfect example of that, right? Point. Like, if they had not reported on it, if it had not gotten traction, he would not have anyone to idolize. But because
I think that the Zizian connection might offer another. Clearly it's just a once more removed from your point. It doesn't really change it. I think the Zizian connection kind of makes it more of an issue because they kind of distill out the negativity that's inherent in that kind of reporting and the outcomes being the negative outcomes that align with their core mission of basically fucking murdering people efficiently and in the name of their ideology. Like the guy, this was clearly a terrorist attack in the clinical legal definition of it, where he was pushing an ideology. It's as deranged and fucked up as the ideology is. It was clearly an ideologically motivated attack. that was incorporated into again the starting point of the series of events he was trying to unfold circled around his hatred of his mother and himself. But like the fact that he was going to go down this longer road of places to go to, and specifically also the fact that he references in his manifesto that he started off that his primary locations were gun-free zones, so he would not be shot back at. Like his goal was to go for maximum damage.
That it was.
And as convenient as it is for that to be a talking point for gun advocates, like again, ravings of a mad person, but he was very clear about it. This was the basis for his desire to go after places of worship besides hating the people that go there. Was like he's very unlikely to get shot back at. If he goes to churches and synagogues and mosques and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tied into this, I've actually just in the past few days had two, we'll call them hit tweets. Of course, both of them incredibly spicy because you know how I do.
Of course.
Some guy, this Lextorious person that is apparently notorious for having idiotic takes. Let's see here. Asmongold said something about picking sides in this shooter thing, and Lextorious says it blames trans people for shootings. Shooters revealed to be a Nazi with the same politics as them. Whoa, now let's not play the blame game here. They genuinely think they're stupid. Well, well, my reply, of course, I feel it's a very appropriate reply. Of course, I said, I'm sorry that we failed you. Once, we would have asylums for folks like you. I hope we can help the mentally ill again and get you the therapy you deserve. And I truly do. I think that, maybe I'm being a little teensy speech hyperbolic, but these are my legitimate beliefs. There are people out there that are quite dangerous to themselves and others. And
yeah, I think you're a bit of an idealist as far as being able to help everyone in that sense.
Perhaps.
But certainly, had the asylums been open, this person would have been a prime candidate for having already been inside one.
Yeah, and if we had modernized them instead of completely destroying them, then perhaps some of these people would have gotten help that they desperately
could have been
need.
A productive member of society. Could have been well integrated with his family in a way that would have kept it intact. Because the guy didn't just kill
put on a dress
people in
on
the
the
church.
weekends and then go to your regular ass job Monday through Friday, and just be like, you know what, this is just a phase or something. But no, but
Or
we
could have
can't
been
do
like,
that.
hey, I'm just weird. There are people out there who cross-dress who are just fucking weird.
Yeah, you can just
they
be
don't
a fucking
shoot places
weirdo.
up.
It's fine.
I mean, you're not going to have normal relationships with everybody while you're doing cross-dressing. Certainly. I mean, there are people that kind of do that, but
yeah, I mean, you're going to want to look into a little bit of an alternative lifestyle. Maybe be an FBI director or something like that.
I think...
No. Hold on. So there was a doctor who just resigned from the CDC after, of course, the head got shit-canned.
Or you could be helping out with.
So you remember the cross-dressing nuclear agency person?
Yeah.
You remember the cross-dressing NRC person? So there was a guy who was not that far off of that who just left the CDC in protest.
Yeah, cringy Satanist.
And the question is this really the person who's going to be the best and brightest and prevent disease from taking over this nation?
Yeah,
is this really the guy?
Really
if it is cool.
Do you want somebody that keeps company of bug chasers as your head of like infectious disease control?
The guy's got fucking bondage gear on and just fucking why?
What are you doing, people? What are you doing? And then of course my other hit tweet. This one just more about the whole fatigued nature of society at this exact moment. Somebody put out some clip from forever ago from like Live Leak or Vine or fucking something of some kid in some school and a bunch of future psychologists and or doctor engineers are dancing on the tables, and he just knocks the table away from one of them because they come dancing on his table, and he's obviously feeling a lot of fatigue over the situation in which he finds himself. And
speaking of fatigue,
well, give me 1 second here because there's not.
Okay, go ahead.
This smallish account. Oh, wow, this is incredibly smallish account. Quoted that with right wingers losing control of the narrative so bad they're pulling out 15-year-old Vine clips, and okay, well there is an interesting point to that. So which I had my own reply. This one, man, this one's going viral. I'm at like 70,000 views and almost 3,000 likes. Anyway, wow, you mean this shit has been going on for 15 years? I had no idea it had such a long track record. Thanks for clarifying that this isn't new at all. I've obviously got a few replies. I didn't get as many replies as I did retweets and likes, though. So I guess that means the ratio likes me.
Okay, so you might recall years ago now when on this very show I said they shouldn't be doing this. They're going to discredit the whole industry, and it's going to be so much more difficult for us to get prudent policy decisions out to the public, and they're making our jobs more difficult as policy makers and policy implementers. And they, why are they destroying public institutions for petty partisan political reasons?
That's a good question.
Specifically healthcare in the United States. So Political put out a post earlier for an article. America's once powerful doctors are struggling to remain relevant in Trump's Washington. And RFK Jr. is forcing doctors to make a tough choice. Well, had you not said things like racism is a bigger pandemic than COVID,
well, you
and
can't
then had
get COVID
doctors
if you're protesting for George Floyd, don't you know?
Exactly. So when I said that they were spending the capital of public trust and they were wasting it and they're frittering it away, the chickens have come home to roost on this, where they're saying RFK Jr. is doing stuff that is bad, and some of the stuff he's doing is legitimately fucking weird and questionable. And I have conversations about this with doctor friends, and there are some legitimate, like, some of the things he's doing are genuinely good, some are good, and some are genuinely bad, and they don't really have a way of reaching out and talking to people and being heard appropriately about the things that are bad that he's doing. And part of that is because the whole industry spent that trust already.
Oh yeah,
and
all their long-earned clout and social capital, you ain't got none left.
Right, and so this is a problem for the country, because this is Chicken Little and the sky is falling, crying wolf. If they have legitimately bad issues that we're dealing with, that the public has to know about, like you skip all the political vagaries. Suppose the next legitimate pandemic comes along and it starts wiping people out. How are they going to get people to trust them to take care of themselves? And pick any given way, any given measure you want as to what they demand of the public to have them save themselves. And get rid of the whole George Floyd aspect of things too, where there is no political bias or partisan behavior that's involved at that point. They no longer have a way of reasonably telling everyone to do something and having them listen without having a large amount of people die first, or get maimed, or seriously ill. There's no way that they have to do that right now without having a consequence happen for society first.
Oh, the sky is falling. Certainly. Oh, of course it is. A wolf.
And I gotta tell you, like, some of the liberal doctor friends I have, they are speaking to me as if the sky is falling because of RFK. And like, well, I know it's not that bad. I do know that some of the things he's doing are disruptive, and it's kind of like, this was the deal we had to make in order to get Trump in, to get shit cleaned up, like the border, is we had to have RFK. And well, like I said, some of the stuff he's doing is great.
Oh no, no more high fructose corn syrup in my Coca-Cola and Pepsi. I am so sad.
Again, should a company be allowed to do that in a fundamentally free society? Sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
but,
there's give and
there's a person, so
there's give and take to these things, and again, like I have to ask, and the same friend during the whole pandemic was saying to me, "Hey, man, this whole telehealth medicine thing is coming along. This is great." They've gotten rid of certain regulations that were holding us back. I said, when conservatives and Republicans and so on, and I'm not claiming the label here, but when they talk about cutting red tape, this is the red tape they're talking about cutting, not everything. And I kind of made him pause for a moment and reflect upon the fact that sometimes deregulation is a good thing. So like there's it's these are interesting conversations, and there's these consequences that come out of these very short-sighted political exercises that hit everybody in ways that are
like trying to get OSHA to mandate masks and related bullshit.
Yeah, like there are significant negative outcomes.
Just a quick addendum to this as well. We've got to just read off this tweet from Senator Chuck Schumer as of August 29th, which is honestly, well, I'll let you interpret it yourself. Fire RFK Jr. now. Me?
Fire.
That sounds like one of the best, most glowing endorsements I have ever heard of a politician in politics in the modern era. But that's me.
Well, impeach him now, I think, was another one. I think that one was fairly characteristic. Impeach 45 or impeach 45, I think it was, as she said it. Oh, speaking of that dipshit, what's her face? Doesn't really matter. Impeach 45. If you ever see him at a gasoline station, lady, she decided that there was a 25th article to the Constitution.
Oh.
Just recently, while talking about presidents' mental fitness. That was the icing on the cake for that one.
So let's be very clear. Like when we're talking about mental fitness and whatnot, like there's this whole conspiracy theory thing that's been going on over the weekend that like Trump hasn't been seen in X number of days. Now it's definitely possible that there's a legitimate like medical issue there, or it's also like it's fucking Labor Day weekend.
Oh, actually, he was seen playing golf today, but there is an answer as to what happens. And why, and it's fucking hilarious. It is the funniest fucking shit ever. Okay, I'll throw a link from the rapid response thing here in staff chat, and I'll put it below too.
Dude, I fucking loved reading that.
He spent the whole weekend poring over security camera footage because somebody fucked up the limestone in the rose garden that he had installed.
Yeah.
That's actually it. And he posted the video.
But that was a few days ago. That was a few days ago, wasn't it?
No, that was literally yesterday.
I reposted it, and I don't know if I guess that there was someone else who was going over it, and someone like said the reason he wasn't seen was because he was autistically going over video. And then you read the whole post, it's like, yeah, he was.
Yeah, and you read his post, it's like, oh my god, he actually was watching all the video to find out.
But he personally was sitting there poring over video, looking to see why there was a 25-foot long gouge.
With like 2 or 3 Secret Service people, like, come on, get in here, help me look over. We're gonna find out who did this.
There was a 25-foot long gouge.
I know that was like 2 days ago, wasn't it?
No, that was literally
wasn't that 2 days ago?
But reading over the post, post was made. The post was made on X by Rapid Response 47 yesterday.
Yeah, 2:00.
So
I could have sworn it was a couple of days ago that he turned around and did this whole entire thing where he's like, "We caught them red-handed, and we're gonna demand that they come back and fix it at their own expense, and they'll never work for the White House again."
Oh no, that's happened another time.
Of the truth post. That might be true of the truth post, but the rapid response post that had that in a screen cap, or no, it had that in the video because it showed video of the guy dragging the thing across the limestone.
Yeah, I thought that was. I could have sworn that was Friday. Now maybe like again, right? Like the claim has been that it's been.
They didn't have the video until they posted it yesterday.
Got it.
They posted the video evidence yesterday, but the truth post where he said like we know who it is, I guess that was before.
It might be. I don't have a specific time on that post. It's not listed.
Because I know there's still people sitting there and claiming about it, which again, it's Labor Day fucking
right
weekend.
Now, there are people that are still saying like, where is he? Where's he? I've been seen.
and if they turned around and that was like, I could have sworn that was Friday. Was Friday he turned around and said, "We fucking found them," and you're like, and I could totally see, because he's been promoting this Rose Garden thing forever and a day.
Yeah.
Like, I can totally see him being like, those motherfuckers. They fucked up the limestone. We're calling in their fucking contract. We're gonna fucking go after them.
You will never work in Washington, D.C. again.
You will never work in Washington, D.C. again. Yeah, that whole bit. Like, I can actually see that. I can see that as a legitimate thing. And the rest of it is like, it's fucking Labor Day weekend, Bose. Like,
oh yeah, it's probably golfing. Which turns out he is.
Let the man grill. Come on.
Yes, I think he puts the cheese on after he gets the burger off, right?
I saw people today posting he hasn't been seen doing a press conference. I'm like, they don't do press conferences on Sunday, bro.
Yeah, and it's
they
like
certainly don't do press conferences on Labor Day weekend. The stock market shuts down over the weekend,
Thursday
bro.
Or some shit too, right? I mean, come on.
Now, speaking of shutting people down, the U.S. Coast Guard here in the Sunshine State had a pretty good drug bust.
Oh, they did a sizable one. I read about that.
Really?
I mean, you're a Florida man. Break it down for us.
About 76.1 thousand pounds, I think it was. They had just under 6,200 pounds of cocaine and just under 14,500 pounds of just under 14,500 pounds of marijuana.
Bust, that's saying.
It's the largest drug offload in history.
Ah, here we are.
Just under 62,000 pounds of coke.
Yeah, the CNN story actually has a great cover photo, which shows the actual ship and the pallets and pallets and pallets of drugs.
Yeah, it's just a fuck ton of drugs.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I think one of my favorite posts so far that I've seen is Phil Labonte sat there and like responded to it. Some chick sat there, and I've seen it come up a couple times. Some chick sat there and said, "Oh my God, President Trump's gonna go after the cartels. Like, he's gonna fuck around and find out these are big organizations." And then Phil Labonte's response was, have you heard of, you know why Americans don't hear about the Iraqi army or ISIS anymore? Because they don't exist. We eliminated them.
Yeah.
And I, like, there's definitely a lot of younger folks right now who don't remember, what we did to Iraq. It was over in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we spent the vast majority of the time we spent over there was trying to rebuild their fucking country.
Well, not only that, like, if you try to
rebuild it because we broke it,
start of attack sequence to capturing Bin Laden, most of it was like, there's a good solid. I think we spent less time over like just destroying their military than we spent trying to figure out which fucking rat hole Bin Laden or Osama bin, or what was his name? What the fuck was that guy's name?
Bin Laden?
Yeah, that was Osama.
What's that?
It took us 10 years to find Osama bin Laden.
No, not Osama. Not Osama. The guy.
No. Okay, yeah. Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein. Yeah, it took us longer to figure out which rat hole he was hiding in than it took us to destroy his military.
Oh yeah, we were done in like 2 days. Like we fucking flattened. We spent 2 days bombarding their capital city, along with like half the rest of the country. But like we were sending in $1.2 million missiles.
Yeah.
Like by the truckload. We pounded Baghdad. And we went in there and had to sift through the dust to find this fucker.
If Trump turns around and tells the Mexican president, I appreciate it, but they're engaged in operations on U.S. soil, so either you take care of them in X amount of time or we do, that we do means that there will be no cartels.
Mm-hmm.
There's just
Right.
gonna be, and like, to be fair to
Wherever
Mexico,
they're hiding.
right? To be fair to Mexico, it would be far worse if we take care of the cartels, because all of those multi-million-dollar estates will be gone. Like,
It's true. They will be new. They will be new lots.
They will be returned. They will be returned to the fucking land when we get done with them. Like, we'll just park like a destroyer off the coast of Mexico, and all of a sudden there will just be vacant land property where there used to be multi-million-dollar villas.
Now, it's funny you mention that, because we should probably kind of segue into something very nearby. There's a country not far from Mexico, actually, and we have parked destroyers and carriers off its coast, and that's Venezuela.
Oh, indeed.
And, well, there's not really any specific answer as to why, but there's been a little bit of friction.
It probably involves some of the Russian ICBMs that have been set up there.
It could. And, we have had some issues with Maduro, the Empanada King himself. But, there's not really anything that's happened with that. It seems like it's kind of posturing at this point, but I wouldn't mind seeing, Venezuelan oil being back on the market again, And America has a great, great track record of making sure that oil finds its way to the market.
Indeed. I'd rather it be done with diplomacy. Well, I suppose.
Same, but
there's diplomacy at the end of a barrel.
When you're dealing with a guy who's got, his priorities are rule, eat empanadas, and then everything else.
Speaking as an individual who works at a Naval National Laboratory, one of the posters that we have in our hallway, I can't remember exactly which hallway it's in. Doesn't really matter, but it's it sits there and shows an aircraft carrier, and it says 60,000 tons of diplomacy.
Yes. I love that poster. I know what you're talking about.
I mean, it's a persuasive message.
It is a very persuasive message. 60,000 tons of diplomacy. I think I saw one of my favorite
spicy sales.
One of my favorite things, there was some guy who decided to do like an AI thing of like the world's navy, the various nations of the world's navy.
Yeah.
And they sat there and showed a couple different nations, and he talked about it, and it's like, well, China sits there and has X number of more boats than the U.S. military, and the guy said, yeah, because you're talking about boats, not raw tonnage. In terms of raw tonnage, we're like 10 times more than China. Like 10 times more missiles, 10 times more fighter jets, 10 times more tanks, 10 times more everything. It's beautiful. Tonnage matters.
That is a thing.
Now,
60,000 tons of diplomacy matters. It's a very, very significant diplomatic point.
Speaking of tonnage and diplomacy.
We should probably really quickly discuss one of the best bylines in modern media history. This is going to be out of the AF Post, and I'll just read the headline. It's perfect, and this will be an update, of course, on a previous subject of the show, one who I thought was a dude. I was mistaken. It's an easy mistake to make. Let's just say. Anyway, Olivia Juliana, a social media heavyweight for the DNC, is facing backlash after reports that 1630 Fund was dishing out $8,000 a month to feed her a menu of talking points. She was brought on to give the Democratic Party some extra heft with younger voters. And
is this tied into the whole entire thing that Taylor Lorenz broke?
Not really, no. No, this is just an update for the for that really fat lady that was working for the DNC to get guys to like Democrats or something.
Yeah, you remember the whale that was
I remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just update.
Apparently she had some dietary needs that were hilariously discussed there.
Yeah.
The extra heft from the DNC is pretty good.
Mm.
It's
so to be fair, right? Like I think this actually does tie into the Taylor Lorenz thing, which is
it's the same organization, the 1630 Fund.
So Taylor Lorenz had revealed this dark money organization, and I want to be very clear. I think it's a hose mad article more than anything else. Like she's just mad they're not paying
Taylor
her the $8,000.
So you know.
Right, like she's she's already getting paid her $8,000 from those same sources, but then she's mad that other people are making $8,000 in TikTok videos. It's something like that.
Yeah,
That seems to be the going rate for DNC operatives.
It is what it is.
It seems to be the $8,000 per month is the going rate for DNC operatives.
Which is funny. So that dweeb what's his name? Sisson, that dork. He was getting
guy. Yeah.
His price under Biden was $180,000 a year. Which
was it really?
Yeah, that was the thing. He got paid $180,000 a year, for the 1 year for posting out his shit until people figured out he was paid by the DNC. I bet you that really cripples the leverage that they bring into the negotiating table as soon as they find out that they're genuinely a legitimate shill.
That was I think the bigger thing about the so what was it? Asmongold sat there and was talking about David Pakman because David Pakman got called out, and he basically sat there the entire time saying like Pakman, how much did you get paid? Did you get paid? Did you get paid? And at no point in Pakman's response did he turn around and admit to either accepting money or whatever, which is brilliant on his part. But it does call into question the legitimacy of these kinds of grassroots campaigns. And I remember a while back the Krasensteins sat there and said the DNC does not pay us. And there's well, ignoring that, right? The DNC doesn't have to pay them. Somebody else can pay them. Right? They can make their money another way. It doesn't have to be the DNC.
Here's the part that was a problem, though. Because they were not being paid specifically to make specific videos, they reasoned out that they don't have to disclose that they're getting paid to make videos, period. Which is still against the law. The FCC rule is pretty clear on this, that if you're getting paid to make content, you are required to disclose it. And the platforms they make content on also similarly have in their policies that you must disclose it. So they violated, as a civil matter, they violated the policies of these platforms, so they're within their rights to kick them off. As a legal matter, as a criminal matter, although I suppose it would be a federal government bringing a civil it'd be like a fine instead of going to jail, I guess. As a federal matter, the FCC rules state very clearly that they have to disclose that they're being paid. And the response from some of these air quotes creators, these influencers, has been that we weren't required to disclose this because you're being salaried. You weren't being paid per video. And it's like, okay, so not only have you admitted to doing the crime, you've given the mens rea behind it. Like you've also admitted this in public and in recording, so that it can be used against you later. There's no reason for the FCC to not go against these people and like hammer them at this point. They basically flagrantly admitted their case.
I think my favorite of this is the argument that they've made is that this is just the left fighting back against the right, which has been doing this forever. And I hate to tell all these people, but there isn't a giant paycheck in it for anybody who sits there and participates in right-wing media in some manner, shape, or form. Like, there is a tremendous amount of copium that comes out of the left all the time.
Oh my god!
Because
I personally get so many fucking lines.
Their big talking point is talking points, right? Yeah. Like I remember this from the Obama era when Trump took over in 2016. Obama's response was, "We just didn't message hard enough." And that's how
Right.
the left perceives it. The left does not perceive the fact that they're on the wrong side of 80-20 issues like 9 out of 10 times. They don't perceive the fact that they're on the wrong side of everybody's opinion on the issue. They think it's a messaging issue, right? Like they think somehow they can come up with a messaging that makes trans kids okay. They think that somehow they can come up with the message. It's a messaging flaw that the illegal immigration thing. And I think when you talk about Take Us North, which we talked about earlier, that's a perfect example. They're like, hey, how do we message this better? And the answer is that, yeah, you're just going to get laughed at the second that anybody sits there and sees any of your presentation because you can't out-message the economic realities of the situation that you're putting people in. And this is the problem that they face.
So, not even a tangential change. What I was going to get to earlier was remember the judge that walked the illegal alien out the back just to evade ICE?
Sure.
Yeah.
Turns out that Hannah Dugan, the Milwaukee County judge, now faces multiple charges, including a felony and 6 years in prison.
Oh my! That's
so hashtag nobody's above the law. Thank you, Democrats, for popularizing that phrase once again.
Oh, that's an interesting update for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it turns out, oddly enough, sure, nobody can be above the law, including the judges.
Sometimes.
Who are trying to become above the law. It sucks to suck.
Oh, on that note, we should probably discuss. Well, you know what? No, I'm not really seeing any big names talk about it. It's a feel good story, and I'd mentioned it earlier.
All right.
There was a tennis match that a tennis player, he won his match, went over to sign some autographs, shake some hands, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And he signed a ball for somebody, and then. I heard about a hat, something like that involved, right? So he signed a ball for somebody, and then he takes off his hat, and he's handing it to this kid. And the kid's like, obviously very excited. The guy who got the ball is like, oh, hey, that's a nice hat. I'm going to take that. And does. And so, he reaches over, takes the hat, and that's that. And the kid...
You fucking ninja that shit.
Kid looks totally fucking crushed. Well...
as he should.
Yeah, I mean, understandably. So what happened there is that the fella that let's see here. I don't.
I saw the story. I didn't really follow it very much. It made it sound like the signer guy was taking it back.
Let me see if I can say this. Camille. Okay, I can't. So Camille, the Polish tennis player. I will slaughter that last name if I even try to say it. So anyway, he met up with the kid, signed a hat for him, gave him some autographs, a little bit of merch, just a stand-up dude. And his comments on it too were like, "Well, if I'd have known that happened, I wouldn't have let it." But those were his comments. So the fella that actually did the thing himself, Piotr. Yeah, no, I can't. Anyway, his last
someone.
His last name is Polish, so it has C's and Z's and too many of both. Anyway, his wife had a comment yesterday that, of course, was, "You poor people, you shouldn't really have access to the internet. You can't use this tool correctly. Unfortunately, Polish mental poverty together with straw in shoes gives the result that we all see. If we take into account the circumstances of this pseudo-scarred, this kid simply got a pro bono life lesson. Let him be happy." Now, that's the wife, which, okay, that's pretty hard. Surely Piotr himself was more gauged and guarded in his response. Surely. Well, let's read it, because he actually released a response in full in text. The recent incident at the tennis match has caused a disproportionate online uproar. It's all about the famous hat, of course. Yes, I took it. Yes, I did it quickly. But as I've always said, life is first come, first serve. I understand that some people might not like it, But please, let's not make a global scandal out of the hat. It's just a hat. If you were faster, you would have it. Regarding online hate, I remind you that insulting a public figure is subject to legal liability. All offensive comments, slander, and insinuations will be analyzed for the possibility of taking the matter to court.
Okay.
Wow. Fucking wow.
So he's a faggot then.
Oh man. Like the rainbows catch on fire in his presence. I am telling you. This guy, wow.
Some people are bold.
They are. Some people are incredibly bold. Yes.
Some people are bold, and those bold people advertise with the same firm that promoted Jaguar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's funny you should mention that. I've got a fun little update on Jaguar and Cracker Barrel. And
all right,
Budweiser? Why, yes, I do. Interestingly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, VP of Marketing for Budweiser up until 2021, who did the hiring for all downstream marketing executives, moved on after that to where? Jaguar, and was instrumental in the rebrand. And then, of course, that had some negative consequences and connotations, so he moved on to Cracker Barrel.
Consequences.
So I think this was a joke post. I know what you're talking about, and I've seen it.
Well,
but it's
it's not. That's actually his LinkedIn. That really did happen in that order.
But I mean, you can list whatever you want on LinkedIn. I'm pretty positive that it was a joke post. You can actually go back all the way to like it goes back further than those things. It goes back to some way older companies that were pre whatever.
Look now, Steve. Are you telling me that I'm not a Radio Shack manager from the 90s?
Yeah.
Can you prove it?
That is unfortunate.
You can't prove it, by crikey.
I haven't seen the post in a while, but I saw the original post, and I saw the guy who was posting it, and it looked like he was just picking every single company that had had a major marketing failure, going all the way back. And it included stuff that was pre-woke era.
Well, to be fair, that is entirely possible. We have an amazing crop of talent in marketing. Let's be honest, past 20 years or so.
Yep.
So it has every chance of being true. Possibly more than it not being. But, fair point, disclaimed. So, be aware. Maybe there's more to that story than, you think. Like, another story there's more to. Carmelo Anthony.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't have a specific update on that, but there's a person by the name of Sarah Fields that's been doing state delegate.
Right, yeah.
And been doing a
very
lot
good journalist in general.
Yeah, doing a lot of reporting on that. And what has happened is Carmelo's supporters are now contacting law enforcement and CPS to, get her kids taken away. Long and short. I'll include a link to the clip there and what's going on, but just another ugly development out of an already incredibly ugly story.
Well, you see, when you have a murder, you have to excuse the fact that they murdered someone because they're a murderer of a particular quality. Because reasons, I guess.
Yep.
That's excusable because reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fucking get it. I'm never going to get it, and I'm kind of glad for that now. Just in general, that I'm not going to understand that. That kind of mentality is so toxic.
And speaking of toxic mentalities, we should probably mention recent comments by fans of the show APAC. That would be on the 23rd of August, when they said this: at Rep MTG has gone full squad. Same message, same legislation, same anti-Israel vision. The horrible war is only happening because Hamas refuses to free the hostages and surrender power. Yet MTG and her friends in the squad won't take any action to press Hamas to end it. Why? Well, there is, of course, a really decent community note on there, which, of course, says, as one might imagine, Marjorie Taylor Greene has condemned Hamas for the October 7th attacks, with a link there too. And then also, Marjorie Taylor Greene has made a distinction between actions taken against Hamas and the civilian population of Gaza. Quote, does Hamas deserve it? Yes. Do innocent people and children deserve it? No. End quote. With a link also to where that quote was made.
I think there's a fair question as to how many of them were innocent. But we know at least 13% of them. You know, we know at least 13% of them are innocent people there.
Yeah, bare minimum. Yeah, there's that.
And I feel very terrible for them.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I mean, for all the shit I talk, I have no love for Hamas. I would be more than happy to see that awful organization that Benjamin Netanyahu found destroyed. And I'll never stop adding that addendum because he did. Anyway, there was Matt Gaetz quoted the AIPAC tweet. Long and short of it, because I could read the whole thing off to you, and don't need to. It's just what we're talking about here. He says this is a fascinating post, and it just the key point of it is the post literally advertises their greatest weakness: growing bipartisan opposition. And the other one, the two big important points in this: they should register as the foreign agents they are. CARE, everybody in CARE has to register. Everybody in every other organization has to register, but for some reason AIPAC is immune.
Well, they're Americans. That's the reason why.
Well, Americans and Israelis don't have to register as agents of a foreign government. And they probably should. But anyway.
Well, again, American dollars from Americans, influencing American politics, and you can say it's strange that they would do so in a way that advocates for a foreign nation, and I agree with that part.
Yeah, well, that and a lot of the money does also come from said foreign nations, so there is the point to be made there. But anywho, in a fun update from Microsoft, you're gonna love this one. It's even better than Clippy.
Oh, I've been looking at what they've been doing over there recently. They have their own little intifada going.
Oh, well, this isn't that actually. This is an update to Microsoft Word, and you're gonna love it. It's so convenient and so helpful and so privacy minded. It will now be automatically saving all new documents to the cloud with a date as the file name. Isn't that
to be honest, they already do that shit.
Yeah, unless you turn it off. But now it'll be defaulting.
Well, it won't be. Yeah, OneDrive they push over and over and over again, and you can always turn it off.
Mm-hmm. Or never opt in.
You say you can turn it off, but it is not easy.
No.
Yeah,
if you turn that shit on
once... don't have internet access.
Okay.
But no, I understand what you're saying, and I strip it out whenever I end up having to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. But of course, this will be.
It's annoying.
You know, they'll be adding the AI chatbot to Notepad, and AI.
Yeah, they have a lot. So people wondering why is Windows 10 retaining so many people? It's well, look at what the fuck you're doing with Windows 11, man.
Yeah, it's something.
That's one thing is now, graciously, they've kind of avoided it with the systems they've determined do not have the correct TPM module in, or the correct system capabilities, is what they'll say with the telemetry. But it's basically the correct TPM, the trusted module. They haven't forced a lot of the updates to Windows 10 that they've been pushing on some other Windows 10 installations that are capable of doing an upgrade. Because they don't want to do the upgrade prep because they want you to buy a new computer. To get the right TPM module in. And so I haven't had to deal with stripping out the Copilot shit or any of that jazz. Now, it was fun. I did allow Copilot to run on Visual Studio just to try it out for the GitHub Copilot, not the Microsoft one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this same company at this point, but there's a difference between the different types of quote Copilot. I tried using the Visual Studio one, and I immediately had to turn the fucker off because it just immediately got in the way of me actually programming. Hilariously, how bad that was as an experience. Like, and I'm not a Luddite. I like using technology, like using, if I could make it easier for me to program, that'd be great.
Was it as good as that incident that we reported on like a month ago, where the LLM got really upset with the code and just deleted the entire code base, or not that bad?
No, it was like instantaneously, it wants to take the fucking attention away from the task at hand, which is right in the fucking program. It was immediately. It's like it tries to write with you, and it's like I'm not trying to write a prompt. I'm trying to write the fucking software. And that like if it's like code snippets, like if I want a code snippet, I'll use the key, I'll use the key combo, and I'll insert a code snippet. It's not that. It tries to write for you and immediately in front of you, and like as you're trying to type, it's trying to write out other shit. It's like no, I want you to get rid of that. It's like I'm not trying to. This was not meant to be me typing a prompt. This was me typing source code. Because I don't want to describe what I'm doing in the source code as my source code. I want to fucking write it. So it was so immediate that I had to immediately turn it off, and that was unfortunate because I've heard good things about it. I have actually heard good things about it, and that it's capable. It's just like that is not the way you should be doing that. It's not how you're supposed to write software. It was just terrible.
In any case, boys, I have to head to bed. I'll talk to you later.
It is pumpkin time.
Well, a good night to you, Steve. You
can find
Steve. Him at Ratman720 if you'd like to give him a follow. And I've got a couple of nice little bits of couple of cool stories we can close out the night with. Let's see. Where's a good way? Oh, we'll go with this one because it's actually really cool. A story out of Japan. A research team has recently developed a drug that will it's as of this time, it's still in testing. So TRG-035, it blocks a protein known as USAG1 that prevents new tooth growth. And
so here's the thing: is I knew somebody who had polydentia, and blocking that protein doesn't mean you're just going to grow a new tooth.
No, it means you'll grow new teeth.
And it doesn't just mean you'll grow new teeth. It's not good.
Well, it depends on how you use it and how well targeted it is. So
because that disorder is commonly caused by malformations of that protein that effectively deactivate it.
It could be.
Well,
either way,
yeah.
It began human trials last year.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with it. It's something interesting, and it bears potentially very interesting fruit because, there are things that bodies don't regrow. And if
it'd be cool to have new teeth come in, that go through that whole fun process again. But then again, if you get a new tooth out of it,
hey, cool. I'll take that over a fucking root canal,
That said, as I've experienced a pulp canal and a root canal and tooth removal from wisdom teeth, if we all go through losing teeth as children, if they found a way. So the thing I haven't done, which I know people who have had done, is having the tooth removed and then having an implant drilled in, which it seems like it would be rather painful, but thereafter you have a tooth that will never have disease, that is secured to your jawbone, so it will never accidentally fall out. The whole titanium screw that they put in is it firmly the longer it's in there, the better integrated with the bone it becomes. Is the cool thing about it.
Yep, you basically got a cyber tooth.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking spiffy.
I don't know why they don't make them out of tungsten carbide, because if you're gonna go all the length.
No. Tungsten carbide is brittle. Titanium it doesn't integrate with bone very well.
Well, I mean, you'd use a titanium screw base on a super hard whatever.
You're talking about the tooth itself.
Yeah.
Well, it's brittle. It's brittle.
Okay,
It would chip.
So I hear you telling me that it should be made of a high carbon steel and then nanometallized on the surface for both surface finish, wear resistance, and
now there's it's interesting because there are ceramics which are not as brittle and are flexible enough to be a proper tooth, and those are what are used typically these days. They get they have a little CNC box that's way overpriced, like way overpriced. Sits on the desktop, and a few hours later they'll have a machined. It's the same way they do temporaries for caps, or actually temporaries and full caps. They'll do both types, but it's the same kind of CNC processing machine. They have a little blank. They put it in there. They have a scan of your tooth, and they'll drill out your tooth, and they'll make a little spindly point with a little cap on the top of it to retain it inside the matrix. But the nifty thing is, the temporary that they put on is basically the same as the sintered thing that they put in later. The difference at that point is just the glue, but they still give you a 2 weeks, 2-week window so they can get the thing printed out properly, or not printed out. It's machined out.
But whatever.
I mean, same difference for the size box they're using. Like it's basically they'll have like a little SLS kind of thing that'll print it, and then they'll machine it from the compacted and sintered powder, and that then gets glued in with the permanent glue instead of just the zinc and eugenol. But yeah, the idea of growing it back in would be interesting.
Well, and it opens up a lot of other areas, for things that don't grow back. Like there's nerve damage that the only fix that currently exists and doesn't always work is stem cells. And that's a case-by-case deal. Like there are people it just doesn't work for. Some it does, some it doesn't. It's an all-your-body thing. And it's all very new medicine anyway, so we don't even necessarily know quite all the mechanisms and everything. But anyway. Yeah, but it's fascinating stuff. And, it's like, hey, yeah. I got my wisdom teeth as an adult. And it wasn't pleasant, but I could deal with that again if I started losing them. So, hey, I would put up with it.
Right.
But anyway, more good news. This one, out of the Oval Office, Don Treasy himself has said that he will be signing an executive order banning universal mail-in voting and requiring voter ID for every ballot cast in the United States. Love it.
Should have been done at the fucking beginning.
Mm-hmm. Or, I don't know, say 2019 or something. But the past is the past. And we move forward, hopeful for a brighter future. And that, well, that'll certainly help. Because, there's a lot of votes that come in that, might not be attached to anything, actually. Like Pennsylvania, for instance. Like they had some 170,000 more mail-in votes than they have voters. But that's okay. These things happen. And surely there's nothing there, and there's nothing to investigate or prosecute, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, and in more good news, we've got this one. What's this? What's the article of this? Out of Hall, and posted by Mom at Mom's Posting L's. Because, of course. We have a news article here again, out of Hall News. There, it's going to be new not profit.
Oh, the Canada thing.
Yeah, new sex for rent agreements become popular in Canada. A truly shocking number of quote sex for rent listings can be found. I think that's just
I bet you that's
job.
A prostitution ring.
Well, it could be, but, there's a lot of independent ladies that, don't need no man, don't need no family, and they do need a place to live. So maybe they do need a man. But, it's just that he happens to have a home, and you don't. And
Now here's the thing I'll say on this one, is that and I spouted off on this earlier. Like as stupid and retarded as feminists tend to be, their counterparts, so to speak, their enemies, the puas, etc., are
your Hassan
just
types.
about as dumb. So that'd be the pickup artist crowd and so on, but they're just about as dumb.
Yeah, your Hassan types.
You know, so they're just like, isn't this basically marriage? It's like, yeah, what kind of marriage are you looking for, buddy? I mean, it's in a court of law. Sure, there is something to be said on some of these things, but you know, marriage has not been prostitution.
Well, marriage isn't a profession
ever,
and it's certainly not the oldest profession.
Right.
But bump. And in dubiously good news, which, well, once you get the context, it's good news. Out of Chibi Reviews, reporting on Valve's stance on the current global bullshit, Valve has been forced by the UK Online Safety Act and Ofcom to do user verification. They've got to verify ages. But they did what everybody can actually already do, that already exists, that is already a perfectly viable KYC element when all you're looking for is age. And what did they do? Credit card verification. Because
I was going to say they chose the lesser of the evils available to them.
And that's the thing. Everybody's got this option, but they're all like, "Well, we need pictures of your children in their underwear, otherwise we can't verify it's them." Sorry, I'm letting Destiny thoughts get into my head. Ignore that.
Shit.
You know, we got to tie into current events. Oh,
speaking of spicy, right?
Well, you know, waited 15 years to say that. Oh,
that's all too old for him.
Well, that depends on which Destiny you ask.
Fair.
So anyway, reading the Valve response here, privacy and security among all age assurance mechanisms reviewed by Valve. This process preserves the maximum degree of user privacy. The data processed in the verification process is identical to that of the millions of other Steam users who make purchases or store their payment details for convenience.
It's through their internal one, too. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing.
Yeah, the verification. Also, it's internal. No third parties. Thank you. But the verification process, therefore, provides no information about a user's content preferences to a payment provider or other third parties. Valve handles the verification process using its own internal payment processing system, which is independently certified under the PCI DSS standard. So, you know, in a bad situation, they did the right thing. And they
did the best thing that they could.
Yeah, it's like...
Not the right thing, necessarily.
Well, fair.
That's what it is.
You know, as a capitalist entity, they did the right thing. As an entity in general, yeah, you could have maybe just said, no, fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
But... fair enough.
There's only so much you can do with it.
Yeah. And in not good news, but also not bad news, there's been some movement on a particular grunge rock singer and his intimacy with a shotgun and a note that may not have been in his handwriting. That's all I got.
Oh.
The suicide note from Kurt has some very strange discrepancies that are now being looked into. I'll include a link to that. But
the fuck?
Yeah, there's that's something I didn't expect any movement on. But here we are.
Yeah, that's not something. That's been pretty cold.
It is quite. And so to see kind of any movement there is very interesting. Now, more good news out of the Housing and Urban Development Department. Housing and Urban Development Department? Well, anyway, out of HUD. They will be requiring proof of U.S. citizenship to receive Section 8 benefits.
That was another big one.
It is.
Yeah.
Big, big news. Dear executive directors and board chairs, this is out of Office of Secretary of HUD. Development, not department. So it's... Oh, it is the Department of, not thing of the department. Okay. My bad. Anyway. Today, the U.S. Department of Housing and Development has taken other direct, forceful action to steward taxpayer dollars wisely and end the subsidization of open border policies and HUD-funded programs and policies. Within 30 days of receipt of this notice, HUD is requesting that every public housing authority provide full and comprehensive accounting of all tenants
I like
who
the
are
phrasing.
receiving. All tenants
I
who
like how
receive
it's
Section 8
phrased as
housing.
a request.
Yes. All tenants who are receiving Section 8 housing and or residing in a HUD-funded housing, HUD is requiring the name, mailing address, number of bedrooms, cost of the unit, and proof of American citizenship or eligible immigration status as defined by law. This information is required by law, and this administration is upholding the law to its fullest extent. There's more comments on there.
So that means you have to be here fucking legally.
Mm-hmm.
And that can include asylee applicants.
It certainly can.
That can.
Actual
Now
refugees.
the thing is that will require them to have already presented their case and be in pending status, which means they didn't just show up at the border and get handed a piece of paper, which oddly enough, for all those fucking euphemizing retards out there, means that those undocumented immigrants, they're all fucking documented if they showed up and they got handed a piece of paper that says, you've been allowed in here under this bullshit. Because if that bullshit turns out to be illegal later, which it fucking was, then all of them have to go. And how many of them have left on their own voluntarily? Not nearly enough.
True.
But yeah, so they have to have actually, like, if you come in through the legal process and you're seeking asylum and you went to an embassy and did it the right way and you end up here and you're in Section 8 housing because you showed up with the shirt on your back and that's it, and you're trying to make an honest living, trying to, scrape your way forward, that is fine. That's what we have that process for.
Yeah.
But all the people who came in and just looking for a fucking job, they're not actually escaping anything, or they'll say like, yeah, I'm trying to escape the shit job I had back home. It's like, okay, well, that's not good enough. That's not a reason for asylum. The thing is, Democrats didn't just bend the rules; they fucking broke them. Like, they shattered rules in order to bring people in.
Oh, and cultural norms, but yes.
Oh yeah.
And not just here.
Never mind. The cultural norms are destroyed.
Oh yeah, I know. Burnt the social contract to the ground and all that. And on that note, and speaking internationally too, kind of a good little bit of note.
Well, I have a bit of contentious news, not necessarily bad news. Contentious news.
Well, throw it to us after this one because
everything. I was going to say that probably sandwich it with that and bookend it.
Well, I've got this and then two more. So I'll do this one.
Okay.
Give me that, and then I'll drop the last two because they're choice.
All right.
So,
and then we got to close it out by 2.
Oh, no worries. So, reporting by Eric Daughtry, and that's going to be I can't remember who he is. Anyway, the OMB director Russ Vaught is now overseeing the final and complete closure of USAID. According to Marco Rubio, USAID is officially in closeout mode.
Good.
Russ is now at the helm to oversee the closeout of an agency that long ago went off the rails. Been a long time coming.
Alrighty.
Now, what you got?
So, India and China.
Mm-hmm.
So, India and Russia. So,
okay.
Indian refiners, this would be oil refining,
mm-hmm.
They have increased Russian crude purchases despite tariffs. So India is basically starting to
decouple.
As much as they've been very happy with the U.S. and good allies to us, some of the more recent tensions that have been brought up in our social hierarchy have caused them to start looking. And now that we've kind of brokered peace between them and Pakistan, I guess that they decided that they're going to look more internally on BRICS, and so bringing in Russian. No, they basically said we're not going to do this, and they're doing it, which is interesting.
as far as geopolitics go. But Indian refiners, so this is why I say it's not necessarily bad news, but like it's news. The Russian oil sales to India have kind of kept pace and increased. So they're pulling in Russian crude. Well, they weren't exactly hoovering up American crude. They were dealing with our petrochem products a little more, but now that might see some changes. And also India and China are slowing down on their hostilities. They've among things that you could say Trump might need a Nobel Prize for. The tensions on the line of actual control for India and China. This might be another one. They were doing, as recent as Trump's last term, they were doing literal melee at the border, at the line of actual control. They were beating the shit out of each other.
Now, to be fair, it was largely slap fights, but still, there were actual
right.
physical confrontations between armed forces.
They basically they weren't allowed to shoot, but that didn't mean they couldn't punch each other.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
It is what it is, but even if they weren't the most serious of affairs, they were serious enough about what they're doing that they would get into fistfights over.
Yeah, shit, so. Keep in mind, the line of actual control is just a de facto border in a region that's disputed. Like it's just kind of wherever they showed up, they would beat the crap out of each other, and then they'd retreat back to their respective little encampments towards a little further into their countries. So there's a possibility of defining a specific border there, because the way China does it is they just kind of move their border and say, yeah, well, it was already there. It was already there.
Yeah, we have historical claim to this being our border. It actually always was.
And everyone else says, but our maps obviously show this is not the case. And they go, yeah, but your maps they must be wrong. This is like
Emperor Guang Shi of the First Dynasty. Yeah.
Oh no, they aren't even pulling the Russian shit. They just say, yeah, but our border's there. They just say true, they're different.
They'll just bullshit entirely. They won't even try and bust out the 3-hour-long history.
They just say that's where the border's always been. It's like that's not where the border's always been. No, this is where it's been on our map. It's like, yeah, but your map, like the rest of the world has a map. And,
look in the corner, it says 1901. Yeah, but you can we literally saw you pull it off the printer.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. It's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, well, your maps are clearly not up to date. It's like you're claiming an old map. Like...
yeah, that is exactly that. Like print a map that says 1901 on it, and then claim to have the most current sources. Also, yes, that is
exactly
that. Yes,
it's a very Chinese moment.
A Chinese century, even. Anyway.
Okay, so that was like I said, it was not bad news. It was just news.
Yeah.
It wasn't good news.
Oh, China.
So anyway, you have 2 items of good news that we can run through while I am
super small
clearing my bed for getting into.
Oh, no worries. But a super small addendum to that also. Xi has where people are talking about how Trump hasn't been seen for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Xi hasn't been seen for like weeks.
Xi Jinping.
Yeah, he's disappeared from the public eye. Don't know if there's anything to that, but people are talking. Anyhow,
I got a feeling that's just him, going on a retreat.
It could very well be. It very well could be. But
probably getting ready for the 5-year plan he's going to have to come up with.
He's going to have to come up with something because there's some Evergrande crash. But that's something we need to get back into because there's been a lot that's happened in China since we really stopped reporting heavy on. Anyway. Moving westward, I'll avoid the Journey West joke. Anyway, a monkey's traveling. So, Conor McGregor has secured the correct minimum number, at least maybe more, don't know, the required number of parliamentary votes to run for Ireland's next president. I look forward to congratulating President McGregor on his election. I look forward to it with glee. That will be a fine day for our Irish brothers and sisters. And in other political news, and something I look forward to with some hope, That's going to be local. Not exactly local to you or me, but local enough that it's important. And that's going to be Brandon Herrera. You see, he took a stand.
He got named by the retard.
Indeed.
Which is really aggravating.
It is. So did iDubbbz, funny enough. But,
it's true, Mr. Eat-Ups.
But, nihilistic head cases aside, Brandon has stepped back into the ring. He scared the shit out of the incumbent, and
this is true.
He got close. He got real close. There was a little bit of fuckery, probably actually not enough to make it either way, but there was a little bit of fuckery. They were that worried. And now
they're extending that capital.
And he's back. He's going to do it again. And this time, he's made friends.
Hope he makes some shit bricks.
I would not mind, congratulating Congressman Herrera on his election. I also look forward to this quite heavily because he would be an excellent voice for the people of Texas. Simple as that. He's an advocate for actual human people. And you know what? Let's go ahead and throw in a bonus one. The far right is on the rise in Japan. We'll get, more into that as we go, but people in Japan are getting tired of this shit too. As well they should. So, Greg, was there anything else you were wanting to cover tonight, my brother?
I think we got through most of it here.
I'd say we did, and we hit the mark exactly. So with that, now you can find my man Craig at CraigBob99, as said. Of course, you can find Steve at Ratman720. I'm Evan. You can find me at That Fake Guy Dan, all the places except Facebook. And, share it around. Let everybody know the best podcast in the world in its category. And, hey, undoubtedly and undeniably. But with that said, everybody...
You're the absolute best fake Untitled podcast.
Also that, yes, as well. On top of everything else. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Give everybody a follow and really share it around. We're doing decent. The numbers we're not at the exponential growth stage, but we're actually seeing steady number rises overall from all of our platforms. So
number get big.
Triple digits before a month is done. We used to not do anything like that, so I'm pleased to see it. So thanks, everybody. Genuinely. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being there. And thanks for sharing the show. We're back again with something good for you real soon. Guarantee on that one. Or, well, okay, maybe it won't be good, but we'll be back with news. And we'll
come back with terrible shit. It'll be horrible, and you're never going to want to listen again.
Well, look, we'll be screening all future furries. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you again real soon.